It's the final game of the 2015 preseason as the Seahawks get ready to wrap things up at home, taking on the Oakland Raiders here in the finale of preseason, right here on the Seahawks Network. I'm CURT MENEFEE along with Brock HUARD. And Brock, not only is this the preseason finale, but there are 22 guys out here tonight who will not have jobs, at least with this team, come Sunday. And a couple of those guys are fighting for a job in the defensive backfield for the Seahawks.
Yeah, I love what Dave Wyman just said, and we can talk about that end of it, and you're absolutely right. Over 700 across the NFL. On the flip side, somebody is going to emerge. Somebody is going to prove and begin their career and watch it blossom. And that secondary room has been so beat up this preseason. We have seen a lot of guys, 11 guys, in fact, held out in Kansas City. But Ty Smith has been there from the beginning. Really played probably his fastest game week number 1. And as more and more has been put on his shoulder to see whether or not he's ready to make a significant contribution on the starting lineup and the active roster, you've seen him bog down a little bit, which is natural for young players. So I want to see him really get it going tonight, play as fast as he can, because he's pushing Will Blackman and pushing him hard.
Maybe the deepest position group on the entire team really is the wide receiver unit.
Absolutely. And Casey Williams is really challenging for a roster spot, as is Kevin Smith, two former Huskies that can look in that wide receiver room, look at Jermaine Kearse and say, I can follow that path. Undrafted free agent, find a role on special teams, do everything that's asked. And to watch Casey today versus 1 year ago as a Husky, to see him come off that catastrophic lower leg injury and some of that burst come back, some of that speed. He's always had the body. He's a 7-foot high jumper. He's a dynamic player, and you see him starting to really trust some of that power once again. He's been impressive.
And that's one of those positions where the Seahawks believe someone's going to get cut who can play in the National Football League. They're that deep. Let's take a look at the offensive line. And when training camp and the preseason started, the question was, well, who would be the 5 starters? They seem to kind of settle on that and are now just trying to position guys in backup roles.
And that's Mark Glowinski. I think he's a guy that's got to be on the active roster this season. Versatile. Tom Cable is interchangeable up front. Would love to see him continue to grow, play both guard spots. But, man, is he nasty, and has he had a good preseason. And like the others we referenced, trying to build on that tonight.
All right, the young, the old, the young and the restless. They'll be all over the place tonight as this preseason wraps up. Guys fighting for jobs, teams just fighting for some success. Can they get that offense rolling? We'll answer those questions next. The Seahawks won the coin toss, decided to defer their choice until the second half, and Oakland will receive to begin this preseason finale.
Pretty neat to see one of the inaugural Seattle Seahawks. Norm Evans is going to raise the 12th man flag. Such a tradition here. We won't get to see it for a few weeks in Seattle as the team will hit the road for their 2 games in the regular season. But Norm, a part of the 72 undefeated Miami Dolphins, part of the expansion Seahawks, a great Seahawk, a great man in this community, and a really special honor tonight.
Another full house here in the preseason, Stephen Hauska. Last time he kicked the football, well, the last time it mattered, 60 yards on that field goal with 16 seconds left to give the Seahawks their first victory of the preseason. Seattle trying to win this one to go to 2-2 on the preseason, same record they had last year. Hauska to Devin Wiley. Back of the end zone. He stepped out of the back of the end zone, looked like, but run it out nonetheless. There's a penalty marker down as he is dropped at the 20-yard line. Christian Ponder coming out. Going to get the start here, the former Minnesota Viking.
Holding. Return team, number 82. That penalty is half the distance to the goal. First down.
And he's going to be buried a little deeper in his own territory. Of course, Derek Carr, the normal starter. But this being that preseason finale, we have no idea who we're going to see for both these teams tonight.
You're going to see a bunch of backups, and what you're going to see is plays just like that one. In the regular season, you take a knee, you let that go out the back. When you're a young player trying to make your mark, so hungry and desperate for an opportunity, you're going to see the young guys, I think, be incredibly aggressive this evening.
On first down, Roy Halou. The one-time Washington Redskin, wrapped up by DeMarcus Dobbs just across the 10-yard line. Well, this is a look at the normal Raiders offensive line and offensive unit again. They decided not to say who was going to start, which is totally fine. And they'll just put guys out there as they go.
There'll be a lot of moving pieces more than any other preseason game. This fourth one is you're both trying to evaluate some of those guys on the bubble on both sides and protect some of your veterans. And Derek Carr maybe not the most efficient preseason, but he's getting ready for 2 home games in Cincinnati in 10 days.
From the 10. Quick pass. Oh, intended for Bryce Butler, but that was way off the mark. Incomplete. Well, there's a look at, once again, what would normally be your starters for the Seahawks.
In a group that's played really good this preseason, that entire front 7, I know there's been some consternation about the offense and their rhythm and the different moving pieces in the secondary. This front's played really well. And you saw Thurl Simon on that last play. Good to see him get some work in a week ago. He's got to hurry up and get himself ready for the regular season. Off to a good start on that last play.
On 3rd down, Ponder, quick pass. Ball caught by Seth Roberts. Roberts going to get enough for the first down out across the 20-yard line before Will Blackman made the tackle. Give him 9 yards.
And talking to the Oakland Raiders folks before the game, Seth Roberts is a guy they really like. A young player, was on the practice squad a year ago, gets inside that time of Will Blackman. That slant route that we saw in the 2nd down, well, that time he gets inside of Will, gives Ponder an opportunity to get the completion and move the chains. Keep an eye on Seth Roberts. We talked about a lot of Seahawks tonight that are fighting for that roster spot. He's one of the Raiders doing exactly the same on the other side.
First down at the 20. Baloo, caught in the backfield, going to be dropped for a loss. Good pursuit by the front for the Seahawks. Jordan Hill, the first guy there.
Nice to see DeMarcus Dobbs on that first run put in the work, and that time Jordan Hill, you know what he's capable of doing as a pass rusher. 5.5 sacks last year, and I really believe if he's healthy and available for 16, you're looking at a guy more than capable as a nickel pass rusher of getting you 7 or 8. But more importantly there, showing you in the run game, he can add some versatility, not just going to be a nickel pass rush guy, but somebody to rotate in with a Reuben and Mebane. It's an excellent push on a first down run going nowhere.
And that rotation up front is where the Seahawks think they've kind of gotten back to where they were in 2013, the year they won the Super Bowl. There's Eric Pinkins to wrap up Halou right away. Going to fall about a yard short of the line of scrimmage on that one.
And Frank Clark active once again. We've seen this all preseason with this defensive group. Doesn't really matter who it is. Denver ran at them in that first game. Some loss of containment. Probably no surprise with very little live tackling. None actually all preseason long in camp. That first game, the tackling and that push and that aggressiveness, the swarming to the football, not nearly what it's been the last 3 weeks. And great to see Frank Clark once again active early. Keep an eye on him. He's now at the bottom on the left tackle, bottom of your screen on that defensive line.
And they'll try to stop the Raiders before the 30. Rod Streeter, not even close. Made the grab. Kevin Pierre-Louis right there with him. And so a good defensive series for Seattle to start this game.
And you see 3 throws from Ponder there, and all of them less than 5 yards. A couple slant routes, a little flat route. Bill Musgrave talking to him on the sidelines there. Christian Ponder is being pushed by Matt McGloin, and McGloin's the opposite. He is going to be hyper-aggressive. Ponder will play the first and the third, McGloin the second and the fourth quarter tonight. A very competitive battle for their backup spot in Oakland.
Marquette King on to punt for Oakland. B.J. Daniels back alone for the Seahawks. High kick. Daniels on the run. Nowhere to go. Dropped at about the 37-yard line, and so the Seahawks will start from there as tonight's first quarter brought to you by Western Washington's Toyota dealers. Russell Wilson takes the field for the final time this preseason. He and what's perceived to be the starting offensive line now, this is the second straight game they've gone with this 5, are in the ball game, along with a mix of backups at the quote-unquote skill positions, including Kristen Michael, lined up in the eye right now. And starting at running back as the Seahawks begin from the 37-yard line. Michael, first carry, nowhere to go. Maybe even lost a yard on the play. And there you see that offensive line they've settled on. Okun, Britt, Nowak, Sweezy, and Gilliam. And Gilliam has really been the guy that's made this thing work at right tackle.
And nice to see him play 65 snaps, kind of like Thurl Simon, get his legs underneath him in that position, and a real mix and match tonight. Very little Jimmy Graham, but plenty of young guys.
No gain on the last play. Russell's first pass. He's got a man. Tyler Lockett again. There he goes. What can't this kid do? "63 yards on the reception for the score."
And no one works harder than Tyler Lockett. The first one on the practice field, one of the last ones to leave. And the same quickness you have seen in the return game is exactly what he displays on the perimeter as well. And no chance there for Keith McGill, the second-year player out of Utah. You don't get your hands on Tyler Lockett off the ball, you're going to be looking at him and looking at the back of that jersey. And you know what I love? He gets right on top of that corner as well. Doesn't run to the sidelines. A lot of young players, they'll win off the line, and then they will panic, and they will lose space. Instead, he gets right on top, gives Russell the opportunity to put some air on the ball. And how about a touchdown? The first one for the number ones in 13 possessions should quiet some of that worry and concern you've heard about no touchdowns out of the number one offense.
Lockett, this preseason, has scored on a kick return touchdown, a punt return touchdown, and now his first receiving score. Tonight's first quarter brought to you with limited interruption by Western Washington Toyota dealers. Lockett with his shortest score of the preseason. Only 63 yards on that one. He's got a 67-yard punt return and a 103-yard kick return.
And you've got 8 in the box. You've got press man. They've got a red line on their practice field for the defense to try to get to, run red line to red line. Look at Tyler Lockett waste no space. He beats McGill off the spot, and you can see him continue to hold that spot. And that just gives a quarterback so much margin for error, Kurt. You know, you put it up there and let that kid finish. He'll be a difference maker in punt and kick return. There is no debate about that. But he's going to force the issue on the outside as this offense will continue to look for one-on-one mismatch makers. Jimmy Graham is it. Jermaine Kearse has been capable of making the big play. And Russell Wilson loves what he's seeing on that surface. You give me one-on-one and someone that can beat it consistently, you'll score touchdowns, not field goals.
And that's probably Russell's only pass of the night, and I think he's happy with that. The offense gets rolling very quickly. 2 plays from scrimmage, and they score. Shorter kick this time by Hauschka. And Wiley dropped short of the 20-yard line. Keenan Lambert with the stop.
And his brother's cheering somewhere. Cam Chancellor watching that one, I hope, and seeing Keenan Lambert do what he's done best. They don't put the pads on much on the practice field. If they did, you'd see more of those collisions. He seeks it out. Maybe the overall elite speed, not what you want, probably why he went undrafted, but as far as a physical presence and laying a hammer, brother would be proud of that one.
And so here we go for the second time for Oakland's offense. Christian Ponder zips that one out. Chris Durham, the one-time Seahawk, with a short grab. 7 yards on the play.
Once again, one of those throws that becomes so common against this defense, especially early in games, is just find a way to get completions. If you're Christian Ponder, if you're Matt McGloin, you know at times you're going to have some zone defense. There's going to be some of those underneath completions. That time, a little spacing concept on the backside. Ponder's run that play hundreds of times. He gets to his outlet, gets 7 yards.
Lou, nowhere to go.
Yes, who?
A swarm of Seahawks there. But led by
Frank Clark, and he has been such a presence. And you just love what John Schneider called yesterday, that raw power. And he may not have a tackle for loss on the stat sheet, but we have seen this through the preseason. He is blowing people up, changing the line of scrimmage. And when you slow down that running back and you stop his feet in the backfield, you give the rest of your buddies an opportunity to swarm and finish.
There have been times he's almost looked unblockable. Third down. Ponder pressured. David King wraps him up. Another one of those young faces trying to take advantage of an opportunity.
Cincinnati practice squad, good job of getting his hands there on the big left tackle. That's Matt McCants, more of a natural guard, a lot of injuries, a lot of movement on Oakland's O-line. The loss of Menelik Watson, a big one for them. Active hands, such a principle of Dan Quinn over the years, continued as DQ has moved on to Atlanta. And those defensive linemen, they watch a Michael Bennett do it every single day. You win early with your hands, you typically win late.
Marquette King with another punt. This time backs B.J. Daniels up. Good kick by King inside the 15. Daniels will fight his way out to the 19-yard line. Flags on the play. That was a 64-yard punt by King.
He's one of the league's best at that. You want somebody to hit batting practice home runs. He's going to drop some bombs.
During the return, number 39, illegal block in the back, return team. That penalty is half the distance to the goal. First down.
And that's called on Mohamed Cisse, one of those guys fighting for a roster spot with the Seahawks right now as we continue here in the first quarter, which is brought to you by Western Washington's Toyota dealers. Seahawks football is presented by Washington's Lottery and the Department of Imagination. Imagine the possibilities.
You said it a kick. Look at this place filling up. You have seen a bunch of preseason games. In fact, in St. Louis for their opener, third preseason game, 37,000 showing up to the Edward Jones Dome. Very different for R.J. Archer and crew today. Nearly a full house. And the volume, as you'd expect in this building, ramped up.
Archer, his first series, hands it off to Christian Michael. Michael, the lone starter in there at a skill position. Three of the starting offensive linemen are in there still. Britt, Nowak, and Gilliam.
No surprise. They're going to continue to get reps, and that's good news for Archer. The opportunity to play with some of those starters up front, hopefully give him a little bit of breathing room. Really good news as well that Tavares Jackson warmed up today, was out on that field getting a good sweat in. Looks like he will have a little challenge, hopefully no setback as he readies himself for that backup spot.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, I think a lot of people thought he'd be ready for the opener, but looks like he just might be as Christian Michael gets around the end, but there is a marker on the play as well. May have had some help getting around that end.
Holding. Offense, number 63. That penalty is half the distance to the goal. Replay. Second down.
And that's on Mark Lewinsky, one of the 2 fourth-round picks in this year's draft out of West Virginia.
And you'll remember he's Dave Wyman's player to watch tonight.
Well, you can see him.
And unfortunately, just not getting his head across there. It is the most minute of details. And I love Gary Gilliam a couple weeks ago saying, aim small, miss small. But you got to get your head across there as best you can. And the way the big men in this league run and move compared to the Big 12 conference, very different. All he could do there, unfortunately, was reach and grab and set the Seahawks back.
All the way back to the 6. Out of the shotgun, Archer. 3-man rush, he gets it off and can't connect with Luke Wilson. Even though they only brought 3, still a little bit of pressure on Archer, forcing him to throw that ball a little sooner.
And you're going to see that route quite a bit this season. Jimmy Graham has already had a couple of those completions, and Luke Wilson showed a year ago, second in yards per reception on this team, only behind Ricardo Lockett. Archer, when you get into that end zone, your heart rate typically picks up a little bit. Rush that throw just a little bit, but Graham going to be such a nice weapon for Russell on the out route, just like that.
Michael, big hole. And Christian Michael gets the first down out across the 20-yard line. Gain of 15 on the play, and these are the kinds of plays that they want to see consistently from Michael.
Well, what's incredible about him, and I've said this really for 3 years, Kurt, on these broadcasts, is just watch how he can dart and dance. That's a little subtle move right there against Ben Heaney, the middle linebacker for Oakland, who can run. But look how low when he sinks those hips and he gets in and out of those cuts. He is such a difficult target to track down. and throw in the speed and pop. And you know why they drafted him in the second round 3 years ago.
Empty backfield. Archer steps up, throws that one low, and it's caught. Good job by Tyler Lockett of going down and getting that ball. And the good throw by Archer of making sure either Lockett would catch it or no one.
Your guy or nobody. That's exactly right. You got a tight little window. Maybe it's not really clean as you're in the pocket. You put that ball in the one spot that you trust your rookie receiver to go get it. The go route earlier just distanced himself with his quickness off the ball. And this time in a very tight space, running full speed away from it, shows you the body control to get down on the ground and make the completion.
Pickup of 14. Archer zips that one. This time it's Ricardo Lockett. He's the one with the E. They say that's how they differentiate.
That's right.
E and no E. That's what they call him in the locker room.
Quiet camp for Ricardo. So much conversation about Kaysen and Kevin and BJ, but a very steady. Quiet doesn't mean negative. It means going about his business. You know what you have in Ricardo Lockett. You have one of the better special team receivers in the game. And continuing, I think, year by year to add to his resume to play out there on the perimeter as well.
On second down, Thomas Rawls now in the game, and he breaks through. This kid out of Central Michigan is one of those guys that the coaching staff has talked about all preseason, just about his toughness, his tenacity, and actually he's got a little burst with him too. He runs for 17 on that one.
He sure does, and I got a new term yesterday thanks to Coach Cable and John Schneider, and that's short steps. And you can see it. How can you cut on a dime and create in a very tight space? Look how tight this window is right there to make that missed tackle go. Short little strides and steps near on ball. The rookie out of Florida is left reaching and diving. Very competitive battle, and you're going to see Michael and Rawls bring it tonight.
Both those guys probably fighting for the same spot. Quick pass out to Ricardo Lockett on first down. Short pickup of 2, and you know Rawls is one of those young men, graduated in 3 years from the University of Michigan, went to Central Michigan, and then only played 9 games. He had some legal issues off the field, but in those 9 games, picked up 1,100 yards rushing.
5'9", about 220 pounds. And just a hard runner. I mean, there's one very clear scouting attribute with anybody the Seahawks have brought in this regime to training camp, and that is you better put your pads down and you better really run and be willing to run through people. And Rawls has demonstrated that.
Christian Michael back in the game now. Did you see that block by Derek Coleman? Michael doesn't pick up much, but whatever he got, it was because Coleman upended somebody.
And I want to say that's near on ball 58 again, who whiffed earlier, and you can see Coleman, and he's peeling back on that block. And it wasn't. I think it was actually the defensive end. And you better be real careful when you're playing that position. You got a 245-pound man whose assignment is to block you, and you leave your feet, you give an opportunity. A backflip kind of block.
That's one that we play over and over in the Seahawks film room. Here's Archer on third down, going up top. B.J. Daniel bouncing around, can't pull it in. Nice effort from Daniel on that play, but just couldn't make the catch.
This is Doug Baldwin to a T. They love this concept. They get into that 2-receiver set, and you try to give your inside fade route, that inside route down the sideline, so much room, and B.J. does all he can. An underthrown ball. You saw RJ's reaction there. He knows he's got to put that ball out in front of him and let BJ do the rest, much like Russell did with Lockett on the touchdown pass. That time an underthrown ball forces the incompletion and a long field goal attempt.
Yeah, Hauschka, we talked about that 60-yarder he kicked with 16 seconds left to go in San Diego to win the game 16-15. And as he lines up, Seattle going to call a quick timeout with 3:16 left to go. Maybe talk this one over just a little bit more.
By the way, Taylor Mays nearly with the interception on that last route as well. Local kid, O'Day kid here out of Seattle, picked up by Oakland late. Played for Pete Carroll at USC. But you know, these are the situations. You see Brian Schneider there and Pete. And they talk about and talk through all of these roles and how much do you want to experiment and see exactly what Hauschka can do. And I promise you, Hauschka's saying, Coach, I hit from 60 a week ago. I got this in my back pocket.
This first quarter being brought to you with limited interruption by the Western Washington Toyota. Just over 3 minutes left to go in this opening period. Seahawks scored the only touchdown of the game on the second play from scrimmage. Russell Wilson, 63 yards to the rookie Tyler Lockett. And they're trying to extend the lead here with a long field goal attempt by Steven Hauschka. Should be right about 55 yards or so. Right on the yard marker, in fact. 55 is this attempt. Hauschka. No problem. A little chip shot compared to the one he had last week. It's now 10-0. And yes, this first quarter is being brought to you with limited interruption by the Western Washington Toyota dealers. Seahawks on top 10-0 in this preseason finale. She flew here all the way from the Philippines to see Russell Wilson. Now that's a fan.
Well, she had to like what she saw. It was pretty efficient. It's about as good as it gets from a QB rating standpoint. Tyler Lockett wins in a one-on-one. Easy go route, score a touchdown. First touchdown with the number ones this preseason.
Only the second offensive touchdown at all by the Seahawks.
And the defense doing what they've done, playing with really tremendous energy no matter who's in the game. I think we've noticed through covering 4 of these preseason games that when it comes to watching and interacting and picking up your teammates, you will see these veterans on this club as involved as anybody. Russell Wilson going to be on that sideline, on that surface, always digging, always learning, helping R.J. Archer along.
Devin Wiley brings this one out. Big hole for him. Wrestled down at the 30-yard line just across there. Ty Smith on the tackle. Well, the Seahawks have put together a couple of nice drives. The quick score, 2 plays, and then a nice long 10-play drive for a field goal.
Rhythm and tempo. It's been a little bit of a challenge with some of the new pieces up front to get some of the run game going. You like a couple of those 10-plus yard runs, those explosive runs. The Rawls and Michael have given you. RJ finding completions, Russell finding the big play, and like so many teams in this building over the last 3 years, putting that opponent in the hole, awfully difficult to dig out of.
First down, Roy Halou caught in the backfield. Here's your guy, Frank Clark. And just like all preseason long, we've seen those top 2 draft picks contribute. First Lockett, now Clark.
A little bit like Lewinsky on the other side on the holding call. You will see just no chance there whatsoever for Oakland's group up front. You're laid off the ball. Frank Clark is getting that edge. He is in the backfield. Natural power. That's what you hear from the scouting department. That's what 55 is bringing to the table in every single one of these preseason games.
Loss of 5 on that one. Ponder goes up top. Bryce Butler there. There's a late flag coming in. Ryan Murphy was on the coverage and may have gotten too much of Butler.
Pass interference. Defense, number 39. The ball is placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic. First down.
They called it a Mohamed Cisse, but Murphy was there on the coverage.
That versatility to play inside and outside. Now granted, that's a rookie for Oakland, and he's going to get much better competition when you hit the regular season, but it really hasn't mattered what position or what group he has been with, Kurt, this preseason. He has just shown and displayed tremendous energy and want to.
25 yards on the penalty. Puts the Raiders in Seahawk territory for the first time tonight. And Roy Halou picks up a couple of yards, and there's Kevin Pierre-Louis on the tackle.
And Cassius Marsh as well, and we talked about those two in the open, setting the table for the rest, and Kevin Pierre-Louis is so fast. You put him at that goal line, and you run him with Bobby Wagner and KJ Wright and the rest of the guys in the back end of that defense, and if he's not winning, he is really close to it. And the job of the Cassius Marsh and the Frank Clarks in front, exactly what the guys have done over the years for Bobby and KJ, is you make a mess at that point of attack. And let the linebackers clean, scrape, and finish.
Ponder on play action. Pressured and sacked. Eric Pinkins was the first guy there. But a whole bunch of Seahawks there. Frank Clark coming around one side. I mean, just everybody in blue looked like meet at the quarterback.
You know what else? It was a short practice week, but everybody got their work in as far as their celebration dances. Tyler Lockett got it started earlier. I've not seen that shimmy from Pinkins. I think these guys knew tonight they were going to see some backups to backups on this offensive line for Oakland. A chance to dust off their very best dance moves and put on a show.
3rd and long. Ponder. Butler. Open. And he dropped it. Mohamed Cisse fell down while trying to cover Bryce Butler. So Butler only had to do was catch the football. And he couldn't do it.
Yeah, but he would have really loved to see that ball get to him a little bit faster in the eyes. What a great picture right there. You talk about alligator arms and not watching that ball in, and his eyes went right to Stephen Terrell that's flying over from midfield, and you can feel Cisse. Look at him. He is looking for the contact that he knows that's coming. He's got to finish, and Ponder has got to put that ball with a little less air to help his receiver out.
Marquette King on to punt again. 3rd punt with 3 Raider possessions. This time it's Kevin Smith back deep. Trying to show the coaches what he can do as a return guy, fighting his way out across the 25-yard line. 43 on the punt, 16 on the return by Smith. And so with 37 seconds left to go here in the first half, R.J. Archer gets another shot.
Obviously, the number ones play such limited snaps all across the league, and everybody involved tonight as they're all buttoning up their rosters and getting ready for the regular season. But this is so clear. These first 15 minutes for RJ and his battery mates tonight is to see the effort. Look how hard these guys are playing, how hard Frank Clark is playing, how hard Eric Pinkins is playing, how hard Kevin Smith returns that punt. These guys know that we're on the bubble at the end of that roster. They are fighting to make their final impression.
Here's Christian Michaels. Gets around the corner. He's going to be out close to a first down, maybe half a yard short. So give him 9 yards on the run.
A little better job week by week. Alvin Bailey, a nice job of being locked up and getting the helmet and the hat on a head. Anthony McCoy at that tight end position. Equally as well. You just watch the evolution from the first preseason game and trying to hit your targets and hit your spots with the live bullets compared to the 4th preseason game. Good growth in their run game this first quarter.
Getting over a yard or so, 2nd and short. Michael gets it. And Christian Michael picks up the first down on what will be the final play of this first quarter. Seahawks have had the ball twice. A 63-yard touchdown pass from Russell Wilson to Tyler Lockett, and a long 55-yard field goal by Steven Hauschka, and just like that, it's 10-0. Three quarters left to go in the preseason. The Seahawks have looked as good as they have all preseason long in all phases of the football game. And right now, if you wondered, what should I do at the Seahawks Pro Shop? It's the official store of the Seahawks. And you know it's your best source for the latest releases from Nike, New Era, and more. Well, for you and your family, all you got to do is shop. Seahawks.com/Pro Shop to get the latest gear. Just like that. R.J. Archer looking for Ricardo Lockett. Can't connect, incomplete.
Exact same play that they ran for the touchdown to Lockett. Got in that I formation. Kind of fun to see tonight. 3 receivers, 2 backs, Tukuafu in the backfield. Good 7-man protection, and that time McGill, who was burned for the touchdown earlier, you can see the difference in technique as he is staying over the top. He gets his hands on Lockett and really gives RJ very little room to fit that go route in.
From the shotgun, zips that one. Pass caught right at midfield. Kevin Smith with the reception. Young man out of Washington, you talked about it, just about getting a chance. Remember, he made training camp last year, wound up not making a team, sat out of football, and now getting another opportunity. It looks like a different player almost.
Well, and what you see with him, and you know that Pete Carroll through his years has loved the big-bodied receiver. There was Mike Williams early here in his tenure, Sidney Rice, who was brought in as a free agent. And Smith may not be as long and as tall, but at nearly 220 pounds, he is very physical at that position.
Thomas Rawls after the 11-yard pickup. Stonewalled after a gain of about a yard on the play.
Just finding unique skill sets and unique talents. That is always at the top of the agenda for the scouting department. And then give Pete Carroll and his staff an opportunity to play young people. You know, a lot of folks in the NFL, Kurt, and you hear this all the time in all the cities you go to, wow, we want to do it the Seahawks way or the Green Bay way and play young people and have a young roster and draft well. But how many are really willing to take some of the risks that this crew is to play young people early? Find me another organization in the NFL that has that risk tolerance. I don't think there is one.
There's not many, if any. Archer sidearms that one, incomplete. Flag down on the play. Will Tuku-Afu, the fullback, the intended receiver, but we'll see what the penalty marker is all about.
Foul. Shot block. Offense. Number 34. That's a 15-yard penalty. Replay. Second down.
It's on the rookie Thomas Rawls.
That's a big one, and when that defensive player is engaged with your offensive lineman, you love the chip. And Krista Michael a couple weeks ago had about as good a teaching tape on a chip block as you're going to find, just destroying the defensive end, D Ford there at Kansas City. But if that player is engaged, you cannot go low, and that 15-yard penalty, a big setback. And asking point blank yesterday, by the way, what is it with Rawls? What does he have to do, and what did we hear? Pass protection, just that element. And it's not the want to, it's just knowing exactly where to go and how to put your team and yourself in the best position for success.
Well, you forget that out of young players, the guy who gained 1,100 yards rushing probably wasn't asked to block a whole lot at Central Mission. Quick pass. Rawls catches this. Breaks a tackle, gets out to the 46-yard line. Nice recovery, picks up 10.
Now you put yourself at least in a position after that large penalty at 3rd and 14. We saw the draw run earlier on 3rd and 12 from Kristen Michael. Wouldn't be surprised you see another screen or draw in this situation. And also take a look outside. You've got Kevin Smith, you've got B.J. Daniels, you've got Kason Williams. You've got really all three guys now on the field at receiver, possibly fighting for one spot.
Raiders jump, free play. And Archer was the only one that saw that. Kason Williams stopped running, and he expected, you see him telling him, I expected you to keep going. We had a flag on the play. We could have taken a free run at it.
And there's the coaching point, and Pete's saying the same thing.
Offside defense, number 97. 5-yard penalty. Replay. 3rd down.
Mario Edwards Jr., rookie out of Florida State, called for that one.
Pete doing everything tonight. I think he handed the flag back to the official. He's got to feel good about the most dominant 15 minutes they've had this entire preseason.
It really has been. So after the 5-yard penalty, a more manageable 3rd down. Still 3rd and long.
Man-to-man look.
Archer going up top again, this time for Ricardo Lockett. Overthrows and incomplete. Lockett had a stop on Keith McGill that time. But they seem to want to work McGill.
Well, take your chances. You get pressed man to man, as you saw earlier. You're going to give up a big play if you don't win at the line. And McGill didn't unlock it. That was a little bit better. He lost to Tyler Lockett, a little bit better there on Ricardo Lockett. He also had a free safety flying over. When you've got a short field there and into the boundary, as RJ was there, that you got to be really careful. You better stare that safety down. Not much room.
First punt of the night for John Ryan. Devin Wiley called for the fair catch. Right at the 10-yard line. 39 yards on the punt. Obviously, nothing on the return. 12:36 to go in this first half. Seahawks football is presented by Washington's Lottery and the Department of Imagination. Imagine the possibilities. New quarterback in for the Raiders. Here's we get going. Their first possession in the second quarter. Matt McGloin out of Penn State, and he's one of those guys, you just love this kid, don't you?
He's just so tough. I mean, Scranton, Pennsylvania, and he is everything that you would think of and characterize someone from Pennsylvania. He's tough. He's gritty. He kind of reminds me of one of my old teammates, Glenn Foley. He just has a lot of courage in the pocket.
Another redhead. Completing 79% of his passes this preseason with a pair of touchdowns. Hands it off on first down. Michael Dyer. Nowhere to go. Jesse Williams in there on the tackle. And, I mean, this guy has been the feel-good story of training camp.
The feel-good story in the guy that's got more push and pressure at that line of scrimmage than he did in his first couple years combined. And a lot of that had to do with the knee injuries. Spent the previous 2 seasons banged up. This offseason very well documented in his battle with cancer. The kidney removed just 3 months ago, and really out here playing his very best football this entire month of August. A disruptive force.
He really has been pretty consistent this year as well. Dyer again. Dragged down. Brock Coyle with the stop, but there's a penalty marker as well.
I think Jordan Hill dragged down in the backfield.
Holding. Offense, number 68. That penalty is half the distance to the goal. Replay, second down.
That's
John Feliciano.
That's the guy we were watching in warm-ups, Kurt. Snapping the ball at center, and you said to me, that's an old school body right there. That is a big body at 6'4", 330 pounds, 4th rounder out of Florida.
Yeah, he's not big and sleek like a lot of offensive linemen you see these days.
Well, he's not a Seahawks offensive lineman. When you look at J.R. Sweezy and Justin Britt and Gary Gilliam, really athletic. Feliciano, a little bit more of a grinder, and that time getting beat once again by Jordan Hill.
Backs him up inside the 5. McGloin pressured. Ball comes out. Frank Clark again, and the Seahawks recover. Jordan Hill with the touchdown. Hill recovered it for the score, but Clark made that happen. Got the pressure, got the sack, got the strip.
I'm going to say the sack dance may need a little work, but the pass rush is in fine form. He's been picking on Matt McCants, the rookie, 3rd-year player, all night long, and man, does that got to feel good for Frank Clark. I don't know how much more you could say really about these 2 rookies. They have stolen the preseason show. Tyler Lockett has scored a touchdown in every game. Frank Clark has been an absolute beast in every single game. And that's how you replenish. That's how you sustain. That's how you hope to get back to a 3rd Super Bowl in this league with so much parity and as difficult as it is to do. If you get those difference makers in the draft, as they did early in their tenure, I mean difference makers, you got a chance to be pretty good for a long time.
Well, the rookies just continue to show up big time. 2 touchdowns scored in this game, one by the 3rd-round pick Tyler Lockett. That one caused by the 2nd-round pick Frank Clark. 17-0. Seahawks on top of the Raiders, and not only can the rookies play, they get a little swagger as well.
Yeah, I was feeling Lockett's dance. I think Bennett, you see Bennett there, Michael Bennett. I told you they were going to be engaged. I think got a little work to do with Clark's dance.
As long as he keeps getting strip sacks in the end zone, they'll do whatever he wants.
I mean, Bennett's got
he can do the Charleston, they wouldn't care.
I mean, Meebane's got that whole roll thing going. Bennett's got the ravishing Rick Rude.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be it. Maybe with those 2 guys, there's no room for a 3rd dance, and he's just going to play cool.
George Atkinson, the 3rd. Big return, flag down on the play as Atkinson. Ball came out after he was down in Seahawk territory. Ricardo Lockett with the tackle, but let's see what the penalty is about.
Really disappointed in Hauschka's tackling effort.
Is that your big criticism? Is that the kicker?
During the return, holding, return team, number 45. 10-yard penalty, first down.
You're not happy with the tackling of the kicker in the 2nd quarter of the final preseason game. Man, you are tough. You're a tough grader.
No part of that.
Stephen Hauschka smiles on the sideline. He may have been smiling when he, quote-unquote, attempted to make this tackle.
Well, we've seen this on Marshawn Lynch. It's called a business decision. And I think Hauschka also notices the flag thrown right in front of him, makes a business decision. I don't need to tackle. Two-hand touch, right?
I'm a kicker. I got to get to the regular season.
And I love the reaction. John Ryan on the sidelines. A bunch of the guys.
Oh, they saw it.
That's a smart move.
They saw it. After the penalty on Marcel Reese, backed up to the 15. Matt McGloin zips that one out. Bryce Butler right in front of Brock Coyle. Gain of 15 yards on the play.
And you can see McGloin take a little bit more risk than Christian Ponder did. And that time, some of the zone coverage, 17-0 lead here, completely dominant effort. Want to watch how Pinkins and a Buck Martin plays the safety position, who also has been a real stalwart this camp. Pete Carroll really fond of what he has seen from Ron Martin at that safety spot. But you will see McGloin take a lot more chances. Confident in his arm, confident in his timing. More so, I think, than Christian Ponder this evening.
McGloin in his third year now in this system, or with his team, we should say, new coaching staff this year. Michael Dyer. Dyer can't even get back to the line of scrimmage. Dropped down in the backfield. Frank Clark again.
Well, this is getting a little silly now.
You know, you could say that, yeah, he's going against the backups, but I mean, he's a backup on the Seahawks. And this is what you want to see when you think you've got depth. You don't want to just watch your ones beat up on the opposing team. You want to see your twos win and your threes win against their opposition as well.
You saw Gary Gilliam play every single snap at right tackle last week in San Diego. Not many teams do that. You have seen Frank Clark and this group get him ready for the regular season, and that is why he's continued to get so much work. They know they're going to need him in that rotation this year.
McGloin under pressure. Michael Dyer. Kevin Pierre-Louis hits him and can't get him. He's knocked out of bounds hard, and a flag on the sideline. Keenan Lambert with the big hit. Didn't look like he was out of bounds. Let's see what the penalty marker's about.
Personal foul. Late hit. Out of bounds. Defense, number 2. That 15-yard penalty will be added to the end of the play. Automatic first down.
All right, so they'll tack on 15 yards on the hit by Keenan Lambert, saying that he was out of bounds. At least live action, it did look like it. Let's take a look at the replay. Yeah, he is out of bounds.
Yeah, I think you take 2 steps, and Lambert, unfortunately, is just coming full speed. And he's not a guy that is ever going to let up.
But a correct call. Puts him at the 44 of Seattle. Dyer lowers his head. T.Y. McGill and Lambert there on the stop.
And you'll remember Michael Dyer's story. He was a kid that was highly thought of coming out of high school. One of the top running backs in America, bounced around to a number of schools. And he's fighting. You saw the kickoff return there from George Atkinson. He and Dyer are really fighting, much like Krista Michael and Thomas Rawls, for that third position, that third running back. Powerful kid, and Lambert not shy about sticking his nose in there.
Movement early on the offensive line.
Penalty. Second down.
Mitch Bell, another rookie free agent out of Louisiana Tech. Playing at left guard on that one. Jumped a little bit early. And Jack Del Rio just trying to get his team to settle down right now. Of course, Del Rio in his first season as the Raiders head coach. Head coach 9 years in Jacksonville. Let go there the last 3 years with the Denver Broncos as defensive coordinator.
And I think what this first 23 minutes of action has shown is what Jack Del Rio knows. At 1 through 53, he does not have what Pete Carroll has built on the other sidelines.
McGloin, Rod Streeter, waits for a block and waited too long. Kevin Pierre-Louis wraps him up after a short pickup.
That's a good look there. That's 2 plays out in that flat. Very different outcome. You saw the first one where Kevin Pierre-Louis, and he's talked about this. Talk about bringing his legs, not just the speed, but to finish NFL tackles every single time. You can't just trust and get your speed and think you're going to finish. You got to bring the rest of your body with it. Not the biggest linebacker. And he's not going to carry what KJ Wright or Bobby Wagner, 240, 250 is going to carry. So his technique has got to be spot on. Much better that second time around.
Well, he is always around the football when he's on the field. Third and long. Pressure up the middle. McGloin kind of sidearms that one and makes the completion. Seth Roberts, and Roberts will pick up the first down.
That's the second-year player out of West Alabama that from the Oakland folks is going to make this team. And a third down pass, and it's anticipation. It's what Russell Wilson said he really focused on this offseason into training camp, and Matt McGloin has it. Some young quarterbacks just simply don't have it, no matter how many reps and how much you want to train. The anticipation, even with another young player like Roberts, to throw that comeback before he's out of his break. That's excellent execution from the two young Raiders.
On first down, Michael Dyer dancing. There's Ronald Martin to stop the music. Martin kind of came into training camp undrafted out of LSU, and I don't think a lot of fans and media expected a whole lot out of him, but he just kept showing up and showing up and showing up. And Pete Carroll says this kid's had a very good camp.
I will be really surprised if he is not in Renton next week at this time. May not be on the active roster, but he has had such a good preseason. Kind of like McGloin, the quarterback on the other side. When someone just has that it factor, that feel for playing the game, Martin has it on the back end of the defense.
Was contact made?
Encroachment. Defense, number 70. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
And it was. T.Y. McGill got a jump and touched the offensive line before he could get back. Just another young man fighting for a roster spot, undrafted out of NC State, and he's shown up well in training camp. But it's one of these things, you start seeing this when the pressure gets on guys. Sometimes it's the mental errors that wind up costing you, not so much what you do physically.
A little man-to-man look, at least pre-snap here from the Hawks as well.
McGloin, incomplete. Roy Halou had to hit him right in the hands, and Ron Coyle comes flying in, thinking maybe he had a chance at an interception, but forward momentum prevented that.
And they actually drop. They make their man and zone look so similar in that pre-snap look, and they drop into that zone. A really good drop there from Kevin Pierre-Louis and Brock Coyle. Unfortunately, I think that bounce surprised Coyle as he's coming in for the knockout shot. He's had a good camp. And Big Low doing his thing.
Raiders need the 23. McGloin going there. First down. Pass caught by Roberts again.
You know, I love,
out of bounds by
I love the draft evaluation process, and you'll hear this term a lot. Oh, this guy can make every throw. Oh, this guy. In fact, I'm going to see Penn State Christian Hackenberg this weekend. 6'4", 230, prototypical, built Hollywood quarterback, right? Everything you want. Oh, you can make every throw. You know what? Matt McGloin may be 6'1", 200 pounds, but on back-to-back third downs, you see a comeback on one side, and that time a deep out off his fifth step. That's making every throw when it actually counts.
Hands it off this time. Dyer. Kevin Pierre-Louis. Hawk ties him from behind and brings him down.
Yeah, very little push. In fact, -1 yard. And look at everybody reestablishing the line. That's Cassius Marsh. That's Big Wormsley as well. That whole crew is resetting Oakland off the snap. And when that occurs, you look up at that stat board here in CenturyLink Field and you see a negative rush yardage, and it makes it real difficult to sustain any success offensively.
2 sacks and 4 tackles for losses by the Seahawks defensive front so far. More pressure. McGloin in the end zone. Roberts hung on. Touchdown, Raiders. Well, Seth Roberts was kind of juggling that for a second and hauled it in just in time.
And Matt McGloin gets just enough time in that pocket collapsing around him. Come back, deep out, skinny posts. Those are 3 prototypical passes that you have to make in this league. Actually, a little bit of a seam route off of that motion. And I don't think that's going to be a touchdown. I think what your eyes saw in real speed with him juggling the ball is he's going out of bounds. Let's see. That ball is moving. It is moving. Does he ever establish possession before that shoulder pad slides out of bounds? That is awfully close.
You have to have possession and control. The way he fell as his behind, let's hit that way, hit the ground.
Review.
And like all scoring plays are under review naturally by the booth upstairs, and so while they take a look at that, we'll take a timeout. 4:37 left to go. Seth Roberts standing there waiting and watching. Will his 19-yard pass count as a touchdown? Question is, did he have possession as he went out of bounds?
Well, what I love here is look at Mohamed Cisse, who knows he is beat, and we talk about targets a lot with offensive linemen, defensive linemen using their hands, and look where Cisse goes and attacks. Right between the hands, knowing the only shot he's got to break that reception up with Seth Roberts to try to disrupt it.
After review, the ruling on the field is reversed. The receiver failed to maintain possession on his way to the ground. Therefore, it is an incomplete pass. It'll be 3rd down and 10 at the 19-yard line.
And your eyes didn't deceive you in real time, and I love Cisse's want to come back. And secondly, that is about technique. He's not just trying to tackle or hit. He is trying to rip right between the hands of Russell, and because of that disruption, force the incompletion.
You hear so often players and coaches talk about finishing a play. That's what they mean.
And I'd add attention to detail. Not just about the want to finish, Kurt, you're right, but then the attention to detail to attack the way you're taught.
Pressure being brought by Clark, and flag go flying in the secondary. Bryce Butler, the intended receiver, Tharold Simon running with him. Even when there's a flag, Frank Clark shows up.
Pass interference, defense, number 27. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul, automatic, 1st down.
And that is on Tharold Simon. Big, long cornerback getting his action for just the 2nd week in this preseason.
Really good patience at the line. You love that. And unfortunately, just a little bit of reaching and grabbing there. That is such a call at times you get away with, but at other times in the open field, you can't. And what a wonderful move, an inside move there from Clark. McGloin will feel that one tomorrow.
After the penalty, ball spotted on the 6. 1st and goal. McGloin, little fade route. Roberts open, both feet down. Touchdown. Had to dot the I that time, and he does it. 6-yard score, and the Raiders are on the board.
Well, Cisse is playing a little bit of catch-up. Mohamed Cisse out here, and he's getting picked on by McGloin, and Mohamed has battled some injuries and had some limited reps. That's really pretty there. You talk about body control for those wide receivers. This is exactly it. He doesn't have to look down. He knows exactly where that pylon is, gets both feet in. Yeah, that's an excellent job there. And I think Cisse, you feel a little bit of camp, right? This feels a little bit like the other guys in their first preseason game, trying to get their legs underneath them, trying to ramp up the speed. A really short week with the Thursday game. And unfortunately, Mohamed playing catch-up.
Giorgio Tavecchio on for the extra point. It's a training camp leg, if there's such a thing. Obviously, Sebastian Janikowski, the 16-year veteran, is the Raiders guy, and Tavecchio comes on in his preseason finale and gets the extra point, so the Seahawks lead cut to 10. Nice little drive there by the Raiders. A couple of nice conversions there by McGloin as well.
We said this in Kansas City, that Alex Smith had one touchdown drive, and it was very similar. It was a lot of plays. It was 12 plays, 10 plays, 14 plays. You're going to earn it. You're going to have to be really good on 3rd down, and Roberts was on the comeback, on the deep out. More importantly, so was McGloin. And that's how you beat elite defenses. I mean, that's the only way you can do it, is you have got to get the ball out of your hands. Jack Del Rio knows how important that position is. They feel like Derek Carr is their guy, but McGloin 6 of 8, 54 yards, multiple 3rd down conversions. And quite honestly, and I haven't seen every practice nor every single rep between McGloin and Ponder, but you just see this kid can play.
Yeah. I mean, he's came out as a free agent 3 years ago out of Penn State, and you just see he was 6 of 8 on that drive, and he was one of those guys that kind of got caught up in the scandal at Penn State. So when he came out, not drafted, most of the guys that left the program, people thought, not a whole lot to him. And he fought his way onto the team and has fought his way on the team year in and year out now in his third season.
Well, scouts want a plus attribute. What's his plus attribute? Athleticism? No. Arm? No. Size? No. Strength? No. Creativity? Not necessarily. But that plus strength is so hard to measure from the neck up, and their ability to play the game, that anticipation, that it factor. And every time he's gotten an opportunity in preseasons over the years, even in some regular season duty, the kid has delivered. I think he's got to be their backup in Oakland.
And Tavecchio kicks that one through the end zone, and so the Seahawks will begin at the 20-yard line, and we are joined now down on the sideline by Cliff Averill of the Seahawks. He's got that hat on, just watching tonight. And I tell you what, don't usually ask guys to talk about other guys, but Frank Clark, I mean, we're watching him, and it's like his name comes up on every play. What do you see out there as a veteran watching the rookie?
It's awesome to see him out there doing this thing. You know, he's a hard worker. He goes out there and does, you know, he has a couple things he needs to fine-tune, but as a football player, man, he's making some great plays out there.
And we get to see it on game day, and the fans do as well, Cliff. Take me behind the scenes. Tell me about the work capacity of him and Cassius Marsh and those young guys on the D-line and what they've done on the practice field.
Well, each and every day they come out to work hard, and that's all we can ask, you know, for them to get better each and every day. They're picking up the playbook. They're not afraid to ask questions, so it's good to see their growth. It's good to see their growth. It's good to know that, you know, if I get blowed or Mike B gets blowed a little bit, you know, they can come in and make some things happen.
You mean get tired?
Just a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's what happens when you're 29 now. See, you're the old guy up there. You need a little rest every now and then.
I am the old guy, unfortunately, but, you know, I still got a lot in the tank. But like I said, you know, whenever we do get a little tired, which don't happen often, by the way, but whenever we do, you know, we got some young guys that come in.
You're the old guy. That means you're still around, so that's always a good thing.
That's always a good thing.
You know, let's talk a little bit about the depth, particularly of this defensive line, and kind of getting back, at least to those of us on the outside, to where it was in 2013.
I mean, the depth is getting there. We, you know, initially coming into camp, you know, we had a lot more veterans, I guess, last year and the year before that as well. But coming into camp, you know, we knew as veterans, me, Mike, Bang, and all those guys, we knew that we had to get these young guys up to speed, and they're coming along fast. They're coming along fast, and they understand the game, and I think they're going to be good guys to come in whenever we need them.
Hey, is Michael Bennett vocal in your meetings at all?
Is Michael Bennett vocal? You can't shut him up anytime. That's because he can't talk at home, so when he comes to work, he's wired in, he's ready to talk, so you can't shut him up.
We appreciate you joining us, Cliff.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Stay healthy this season.
Yes, sir.
All right, that's Cliff Averill of the Seahawks, and you know what? You can see the enthusiasm that not only he has, but we talk about these veterans as they watch the young guys, the enthusiasm for other guys and how they play.
Well, it's just infectious. And Michael Bennett has a love to play football, and Cliff Averill really enjoys the craft. And for some guys around the league, and winning has a lot to do with that. When you have success, and Bruce Irvin as well, and you reap the rewards financially with new contracts and the Super Bowl rings, man, it's a lot more fun to come to work and to play ball. But those guys, Bennett and Averill, really set the pace, and I think you see it's paying dividends for the Marsh and the Clark.
Devin Wiley with a fair catch right at the 30-yard line. 2:22 left to go, and you know, here are some of the guys fighting for these roster spots, and you can pretty much assume, you know, which guys will be here and which ones won't, and guys that are fighting. But I think the thing that really amazes me is that you talk about depth on this team and hitting on your draft picks, and people say, well, you've got so much money invested in your top 10 guys. If you keep hitting on your draft picks,
that's right.
That's why you can still have success with you with paying a lot to very few.
And it really becomes, you hate to say this, you always want to be fluid, but it really becomes a have to. When you've got 12 guys on your roster making $6 million or more, and a number of them, the top paid, Richard Sherman at corner and Earl Thomas at free safety and Bobby Wagner at middle linebacker, you know, it is imperative that your young, much more cash controllable players really deliver.
And there's some heat from Cassius Marsh, second-year guy. And you've got to hit on those young guys to make it work on the back end.
And that's a in-between block there, unfortunately, for Matt McGloin from Khalif Barnes. He's trying to read through Cassius Marsh out to the secondary defender, and Marsh making him pay. He's about quickness, where Frank Clark has that natural power. Cassius Marsh at about 250 pounds. He's going to win with his hands, and he's going to win with his initial quickness.
Only had those 5 games last year before he broke his foot, and seems to have bounced back rather nicely. Michael Dyer pushing the pile. Going to be out near a first down for the Raiders.
You look at that defensive line group, and there are a lot of names on there, and you're right. You can start counting numbers, and based on productivity and what they have done, you can get a sense. I will tell you this, trying to get guys on the practice squad and keep them in Seattle, a huge part of that position group and so many others, which I know we'll be talking about in the second half as well.
Back here live at CenturyLink Field in Seattle, Washington. The Seahawks leading the Oakland Raiders 17-7 at the 2-minute warning. Aaron Levine alongside Dave Wyman. And Dave, I would say the Seahawks did a pretty good job in the NFL draft this year, taking Tyler Lockett and Frank Clark with their first couple picks.
Is Frank Clark any good? That's like one of the best first halves that I've ever seen in any preseason, especially from a rookie. So amazing. The other thing we wanted to see out of Tyler Lockett is play a little bit of offense. Let's see if he can play receiver. He did that pretty well too, and got the starting offense off the field. 2-play drive. It was a 4-play drive last year, 2-play drive this year, and that makes John Schneider very happy.
Much more highlights and analysis coming up in just a couple minutes, but for now, let's send it back up to Curt and Brock.
All right, you look at the level of competition, and this has been the most dominant first half that the Seahawks have had all preseason long. Up 17-7 right now, 2 minutes left to go in this first half. McGloin lost that one up, Michael Dyer. Right there, Darrell Simon. Short 3-yard pickup. And Simon's one of those guys we talked about, didn't get to play the first 2 games of the preseason, working on that shoulder, now getting action the last 2 weeks.
And such a patient player. You really see that in his technique off the ball. A nice job there to not panic with a lot of open field in the running back, stands his ground, finishes the tackle.
McGloin up top. Pass caught by tight end Brian Leonhardt. Leonhardt looked like that ball almost surprised him, but it made the catch down to the 24, 20 yards on the game. Raiders trying to run the hurry up. From the 34. Movement early on the left side of the offensive line.
False start. Offense. Number 73. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Matt McCants.
And Matt's had a tough night in trying to handle Frank Clark and some of that edge pressure. And I'll tell you who's not had a tough night, and I just don't know how many more superlatives to use when it comes to Matt McGloin. And Bill Musgrave was a guy a lot like McGloin, a little bit undersized, not the biggest arm, coming out of Oregon, carved a 6-year career in the NFL, did Musgrave, and McGloin's going to stick around in this league. Trust me on that.
He just looks calm at all times. Even being chased by Kevin Pierre-Louis, finds a way to roll left, does a penalty mark it down, and then complete a pass to Bryce Butler, but he never seems to panic, does McGloin.
Nope. Holding. Offense. Number 74. 10-yard penalty. Replay. Second down.
Mitch Bell and his offensive line not really helping out McGloin these last 2 plays.
When you don't run the ball, and they've run for 9 yards in this first half, you're not helping out a big offensive line. And this is a group that we saw in pregame on the field. It's not the most athletic offensive line in the NFL, and not the best pass blocking crew either.
Quick pass. Bryce Butler makes a move, slips a few tackles, and Ty Smith finally wraps him up. Big 13-yard pickup there. Inside a minute. Oakland still has all 3 timeouts to work with. Surprised they haven't used one yet. Here's McGloin. Not the most athletic guy in the world. Did he get outside the pocket? Yes, he did. No flag on the play.
The quarterback was out of the pocket, and the ball got past the line of scrimmage.
Okay. So there was a late flag there, or there was a flag there. There was no flag. So it was right to begin with. Yeah. And he did get out of the pocket.
And you can see the referee here. He's looking at a few different things. He knows he's outside the pocket. He's looking to see, did the ball get back to the line of scrimmage? I said earlier, not maybe a plus strength with his athleticism or his arm, but the smarts are there. And the year he spent at Bill O'Brien there at Penn State, really critical in his development.
On third down, Leonhardt, nowhere to go. Marcus Burley and Brock Coyle on the tackle. Nice defensive stop by Seattle. I'm surprised Oakland didn't use a few of those timeouts on this drive.
Keep that clock running.
Yeah. They use one now with 3 seconds left to set up a field goal attempt.
6'3", 340 pounds on the roster. And a nice little inside game there from Frank Clark. And there's 340-pound tidal wave right on top of you. I've seen that in the WWF.
That's one way to stop him. Well, they have a certain type they look for in that offensive line, and he used all of it.
I'll tell you, we saw an earlier pressure where I told you it's not a tackle for loss. It's not going to show up on a stat sheet. That doesn't either. But that's a forced holding call, puts you back, forces a little check down, ends the drive. Frank Clark incredibly disruptive in the first 30 minutes.
Giorgio Tavecchio from 52 yards away. That one looks like it's off the mark. And that'll end the first half. And so the Seahawks put together their best first half of the preseason. Offense, defense, special teams, they did everything. They lead it by 10 with 2 quarters to go here in the 2015 preseason. Aaron and Dave on the other side. Stick around.
Now I want to see the Dave Wyman dance, just like Tyler Lockett. It's the Seahawks with a 17-7 lead over the Oakland Raiders at halftime in the preseason finale back here at CenturyLink Field. And Dave, as we look at the first half stats, we once again see the Hawks taking advantage of turnovers, scoring 7 points on that strip sack.
Yeah, definitely. That's what they're going to probably do all year. It's a big play defense, but you also look at the offensive stats much better here. And I know a lot of them came on the one play, 63-yard touchdown to Lockett, but 166 yards. I mean, that's about what they've been averaging for an entire game. So a little bit more continuity on the offense. And again, I think they're going to piece it together once the regular season starts. But you see what they can do. I mean, you see that they can make big plays on offense, but I think this team is just going to feed off of their defense this year.
That continuity you're talking about extends to the offensive line play in the first half as well.
Thought it was pretty good. I mean, you look at some of those guys. There was a zone blocking play where both Nowak and Sweezy had to kind of get to the second level up to the linebackers, and you can see the athleticism and the explosion that Tom Cable was telling us the other day that comes with Drew Nowak. So that guy has looked very impressive, and Justin Britt looking good at guard also. So pretty good pocket at times for the quarterback, and so I think it's an improvement.
Love the appreciation one has for preseason football, specifically when guys are playing for their NFL dreams in their lives.
Yeah, no question. And the thing is, the second half, now it's probably dawning on a few of these guys, hey, got to go out and make something happen. But you've seen some guys make some plays out here that may seal their place on this team.
Well, let's go back up to Sayers and rejoin CURT and Brock for the second half, guys.
All right, thanks a lot. Brock, this second half is really when we will see guys that are those guys that are on the bubble, that are fighting for their opportunities, and as they just said, for their NFL lives here.
Yeah, and what you love to see is how hard everyone is played when they come in, and that's no surprise. I mean, these guys really crank it up at practice. Pete gives them every opportunity when they hit this field to hit it running and to hit it with fresh legs, and I think you're going to see tremendous energy in the second half as well.
Any specific battles you're looking forward to here?
I just want to continue to see that depth in the secondary. I think that will continue to be some of the conversation and more pieces coming in. Cisse got a lot of run in that first half. Daryl Simon played the entirety of that first half as well. So getting a chance to see the Ty Smiths and some of the guys on the back end of that defense still very much fighting, maybe not for a roster spot, but to show that they're one of the 10 guys that should stick around on the practice squad possibly as well.
Rosters have to be cut by 1 p.m. Pacific time on Friday, then on Saturday, and then on Sunday, you can set your 10-man practice squad. So a lot of guys looking at this football field for the last time. Kevin Smith scoops this one up. Nice return by Smith. So R.J. Archer comes back out to start the second half at quarterback.
It'll also be fun to watch some of these offensive linemen, and you're going to see Christian Sicoli, number 67, in there. Tom Gable really excited about his upside, knows that he's going to be a little bit raw, going to be a little bit green, converted from that defensive line position. Kevon Milton's had a nice camp, so to watch those young guys, as you heard Dave Wyman say at halftime, try to work in concert with one another, keep that run game going.
Seahawks start the second half at the 27. Archer on the rollout. Along the sideline, Ricardo Lockett made the catch. Out of bounds, though. Couldn't keep his feet in bounds.
Nice to see Ricardo Lockett getting an opportunity this preseason as well, doing exactly what you're supposed to do, continue to come back to the football. And that looks pretty close as RJ slings it to the spot where his guy can get it. Can he tap that second toe? No, I think unfortunately their defensive back, Keith McGill, just that body and the push there, unable for Lockett to drag that right foot.
Archer working from the shotgun. Thomas Walls on the draw play. A little bowling ball. Takes it out across the 34-yard line.
But that's the kind of push. That's the picture that you want to see. We've seen plenty on the other side where Oakland's got 12 carries for 9 yards, and that line of scrimmage just dominated by the Seahawks group. Take a look at the other side. Look at the guys up front get the push. Is that Glowinski? No, that's Lewis right in the middle, driving linebacker into the ground 4 yards from the line. That's the kind of picture in his zone read that you want to see.
Brings up third and short. Archer in trouble, brought down. First sack of the night given up by the Seahawks. Josh Shirley comes on the blitz.
That's a former University of Washington player. You can talk about Kevin Smith, Cason Williams, finished his career at UNLV. But unfortunately, there, Alvin, try and get to the legs of Josh Shirley to cut him down. And there you see some of the athleticism. Undersized, it's about 230 pounds. But Shirley's motor continuing to go. He played some ball in this stadium as well. Husky Stadium under renovation. The Huskies played a year in here, and Shirley making a sack, making a point.
3 and out to start the second half for Seattle, and a short kick by John Ryan. You don't see many of those from Ryan. You can see the frustration on his face. Raiders take over for the first time when we come back. Just 21 yards on that punt. Seahawks football is presented by Washington's Lottery and the Department of Imagination. Imagine the possibilities.
Sometimes the stat sheet tells the story and sometimes it doesn't. And I would argue 4 tackles, sack, tackle for loss, forced fumble, QB hurry doesn't even do justice to how dominant Frank was as well. Drawing penalties, holding calls, blowing up plays in the backfield, letting his buddies swarm and finish those tackles off. As Dave Wyman, you heard him say, about as dominant effort as you're going to see in a preseason, and continuing for Frank to come out of the tunnel and get more run in the second half.
He plays full speed all the time. Quick pass out to Gabe Holmes. Wrestled down by Kevin Pierre-Louis.
Well, this is a little interesting move here because we were told we were going to see 1st and 3rd for Ponder, 2nd and 4th for McGloin, and you're seeing it the other way. I think you see the hot hand, and Matt McGloin continues to do so coming out. Pierre-Louis dropping into zone coverage, finishes the tackle in front of him. But as sloppy as Oakland was in that first half, really in every phase, as dominant as Seattle was in Pete's crew over Jack Del Rio, he wants to come out and establish a little bit of tempo, and McGloin 10 of 14, 113 QB rating in that first half, really sharp.
Hands it off this time, Michael Dyer. Cut through a hole. Tripped up by Keenan Lambert, but falls forward for the first down.
We've seen Lambert involved in a few tackles, so I'm going to blowing up a punt, a kickoff, the late hit on the boundary. There is just no debate about his desire to seek out contact.
Brother of Cam Chancellor, and taking advantage of the playing time created in training camp with an extra spot available at safety. McGloin, ball tipped, incomplete, and Lambert almost had an interception.
And that may be the first miss we've seen of McGloin, that quick slant. And We've seen so many of these interceptions through the years in Seattle. One of the advantages when everybody flies to the football, Brock Coyle nearly had one in the first half. You have seen the number of times that Byron Maxwell had a tip pick here in the game opener last year against Green Bay. Obviously the tip in the end zone, right in the corner of that end zone. Saw Crabtree before the game, and I know he had to still think about that one because I certainly did.
Dyer runs into his own man, Jordan Hill. Gets the tackle. Hill's had a nice game tonight. People forget he was third on the team last year in sacks, 5.5, and they all kind of came in a bunch.
That was really after Brandon Mebane went out and lost for the year on IR with that hamstring injury. Opened the door for Jordan. I don't think there's any reason that he can't get north of 5.5 this year in that sack column.
Leading to 30. McGloin up top. Chris Durham. Good job on the little comeback. Makes the catch. Good enough for the first down right in front of Ty Smith.
You'll remember Chris Durham, a 4th-round pick of John Schneider and the Seahawks years ago. And Ty Smith does a good job with that initial contact, running hip to hip. But there was a comeback on that same sideline for a 3rd down conversion from McGloin, who buys just enough time. He sees the pressure coming right in his face. He knows Durham's a big target. He trusts that he's going to come back to the football.
Picks up 13 yards. First down for the Raiders. Dyer, he just stopped running. Well, he saw Cassius Marsh coming around one side. Frank Clark coming up the middle and was like, okay, let me put the brakes on.
They've had about 10 carries and there have been very little opportunities in any real hole of any magnitude. And
this is Marsh and Coyle actually converging. Loss of 2 on the play. McGloin with time, looking for Rod Streeter. No flags on the play. Late flag coming out. Streeter may have pushed off on this one. It counts as a touchdown right now, but let's see what the officials rule.
Pass interference. Defense, number 28. That penalty is declined. The result of the play is a touchdown.
So they call the pass interference on Marcus Burley, and the touchdown will stand.
And Streeter, real productive a season ago in Oakland, and this is a quarterback like that comeback, trusting, put in a spot where Streeter is going to get it, and unfortunately Burley just losing sight here. That nickelback spot, he's in the slot, he's in excellent position, just can't find the football. McGloin can't play the position better than he's played it. You just really can't. He's testing some of the inexperience in this secondary. He's putting the ball in a position where his guys get it. Nobody gets it. He's found some real rhythm and tempo.
And he gets the Raiders to within 3. So a couple of touchdown drives by Matt McGloin, the latest. Going to Rod Streeter, who hangs on and gets the score. It's 17-14. Seahawks jumped out to a 17-0 lead in the first half. Raiders have put together back-to-back touchdown drives, and right now it's 17-14. That drive, 7 plays, 52 yards, and Streeter fighting off Marcus Burley for the catch.
Did a really good job of getting back to the football, and there's a chance there for Burley to try to get a feel. Burley, not the biggest of guys in the secondary. Streeter outmaneuvers him, and how about Matt McGloin now, 13 of 18, a $143, 2 touchdowns. That builds on a preseason where he's now 39 of 51, 380, and 4 touchdowns, continuing to make his mark and his statement for the backup job in Oakland.
Kevin Smith takes a knee in the end zone. Seahawks take the touchback. Missed the game on TV? Watch replays of all Seahawks home and away games and every NFL game online and on demand via NFL Game Pass. Visit Seahawks.com/Game Pass for more information. I don't think those fans are missing much.
They don't want to miss an opportunity at all to come into this building. And I thought we would see B.J. Daniels at quarterback. Got a little bit of reps over the last couple days in practice. R.J. getting the majority of that first half. And B.J. showing you some of the versatility.
Been on the practice squad the last couple of seasons at quarterback. Trying to make the club as a wide receiver this campaign. And hands it off to Thomas Rawls. Big run by Rawls. Give him 16, maybe 17 yards on the run.
And here's what I want to see in this second half from Rawls. I want to see the yards after contact. No one better in the NFL, and it's not even close with Marshawn Lynch. It's that first, there's one little arm tackle, and you see it 32 contact, and that's 5 more yards, and that is all Thomas Rawls, and that's getting the pads down and getting underneath the would-be tackler there and dragging him for 5 yards.
4 carries, 42 yards for the rookie. On the play fake, B.J. Daniels couldn't get out of the way. And I tell you, B.J., it's interesting to see him play quarterback here because you wonder at this stage of his attempted development at wide receiver if this doesn't slow him down having to spend part of the week at QB.
Well, what I like, Kurt, is you've given him every opportunity. You did not do this really until this week. You gave him a full body of work, the whole offseason, the OTAs, into minicamp, all 5 weeks of minicamp. And it really wasn't until this week that he started to take some of these reps.
Here it is again. Good move by Daniels. And shows that athleticism. I'll tell you what. I was listening to your radio show this week with your co-host Mike Salt. You guys were talking with Bruce Irvin about the athleticism of B.J. Daniels, and there he shows it.
And Bruce Irvin, we asked point blank on our show, 7 to 10 in the mornings on 710 ESPN CL. Ask him point blank, who's the second best athlete? Because obviously Bruce is going to say he's the best. And he didn't hesitate. You're absolutely right. He said B.J. Daniels. Russell Wilson this preseason when we sat down with him, week number 1, what did he say? He said B.J. Daniels is a phenomenal athlete. And we're getting to see it. We saw it earlier at receiver. And there he shows you the niftiness that he's always had playing quarterback.
Quick carry by Rawls. And, we asked Russell Wilson just about B.J. Daniels trying to convert to wide receiver. He said he's the guy that if you're picking teams, no matter what the sport, he's your first pick always. Just because he's that athletic, and he shows it tonight.
Quarterback at South Florida and ran around, didn't play on great teams down there with the Bulls in South Florida and had to improvise and make it all on his own. Really been a lot of his NFL career, to be honest with you, over the last few years.
Hands it off to Rawls again, and Rawls breaks a tackle. Fighting his way for a first down.
We saw 5 yards after contact on that opening zone read run. That time again, another 6-7 yards. What you have to do in this system, you trust and really good push there from the right side of the offensive line. And there it is, 2, 3, 4 yards bouncing off that initial tackle.
Seahawks going with no huddle. Daniels off the play fake, almost intercepted. Just kind of lofted that one out there, and Tevin McDonald sniffed it out.
Yeah, that's not a real difficult read for that center fielder, that free safety. That's a little play action pass. And here's where maybe a little bit of the rust you're going to see when you've gotten so much work there at wide receiver, just losing sight of the free safety who saw that play in front of him the entire time, and McDonald just unable to finish the interception.
McDonald undrafted out of Eastern Washington, son of the legendary 49er Tim McDonald. And there's that athleticism on display again by Daniels. And we should mention he's really playing quarterback due to the injury to DeVaris Jackson. This 4th preseason game, knowing that Russell Wilson was going to play 1 series, you couldn't expect R.J. Archer, or they didn't expect R.J. Archer to play the entire game, so you needed someone else. And we saw DeVaris Jackson pregame. Looks like he might be ready for week 1. We just needed somebody to finish out tonight.
Yeah, and what's nice for Lewis and Sicoli is this is a big part of what the Seahawks do. Russell Wilson was the 16th leading rusher in the NFL. Their quarterback does run it. He avoids contact like B.J. has done. Some great catch there from Kevin Smith. But this is a great look for your young offensive lineman. You can run the zone read in practice, but nothing better than getting the live reps. And B.J. giving you some of the timing and feel for a huge part of this Seahawks offense. They don't live on it. They don't have to run the zone read. They've got so many other features with Russell in their passing game and Marshawn running right at you. But that is and has been such a weapon when necessary in third downs or in run situations. That 1-2 punch of Marshawn and Russell and BJ going to give you and give these guys around him the very best look, the closest look to Russell. Certainly something RJ is not comfortable doing.
First down for the Seahawks. Daniels with time. Sidearms it in the end zone, incomplete. Pass intended for Anthony McCoy, but Daniels doing a good job of keeping that play alive. Had time early, it ran out, and he just made a nice little move inside to free himself.
Well, I can promise you, Russell Wilson, and you saw the shot just a moment ago, he's engaged. They love B.J. Daniels. They love having him in his quarterback room. He's looking at that saying, that's my move. I'm the one that buys a little bit of time and trying to sling it right underneath Ben Heaney, the linebacker there, and unfortunately one hopping McCoy.
Handoff taken by Rod Smith. His first carry of the night takes it down inside the 10-yard line. Young man out of Ohio State. Averaged about 3 carries a game his entire career. Obviously didn't run the ball a whole lot there, trying to make it here as kind of a hybrid running back fullback.
And Kurt, he's had a really good camp, but you start to talk about these numbers and these carries and these opportunities. I mean, Rod has come right out and shown you to be very, very comfortable, and a guy that also is not shy with contact.
Well, you can't be if you expect to play running back for the Seahawks. Exactly. Here's Smith. First down and goal.
Picking up the pace, and if they can't stop it, I love it. You come right back to it, getting that same 3-by-1 set and running right at them.
Smith again, fighting his way down to the goal line, going to be just short. Played all 4 years at Ohio State, didn't even start.
Well, if there is a system that has had that kind of storyline, it's Tom Cable's system through the years. It's running backs just like that. Give me 6'3", 6'2", 225. Give me Thomas Rawls at 5'9", 220. I don't need a first-round running back. And for so many years in Oakland and so many of his units in Atlanta through the years here in Seattle, obviously Marshawn is a superstar, but Tom's system has proven he can make a star out of a lot of different players.
Movement early on the left side of that offensive line. Back the Seahawks up.
False start. Offense. Number 75. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Well, the Seahawks don't have a number 75, so well, I guess they do.
Look at the big boys huffing and puffing right there. I love it. Better get used to it, man, when your quarterback is nimble and running around and you're going to get in that zone read. And that's Will Precheck.
Yes.
Another converted defensive tackle.
Which from number 74 to 75 on us. Rod Smith. Flags on the play as well.
Holding. Offense. Number 67. 10-yard penalty. Replay. Second down.
And suddenly they're going the wrong direction.
Yeah, and you could see it right away. And Sicoli knew it right away. You could see his reaction after that play. And it's the consistency of those landmarks on every single one of those runs. You know, this is not complicated. It's not going to be a super deep playbook, I don't think, when BJ's running it. That same zone read, the defender starts to get a feel for it. You've got to hit your landmarks. You're left reaching and grabbing. And you see the holding call follow.
Seahawks were inside the 1-yard line not long ago. Second and goal outside the 15 now. Daniels. Chris Matthews can't pull it in. Well, this is one thing you talk about, trying to find a way to separate yourself in this final preseason game. Daniels in that battle for one of the backup wide receiver slots. He's doing something no one else can do in that wide receiver room. trying to complete this first drive with a touchdown. Lost it towards the end zone. Jason Williams goes up, gets it, and scores. Pretty throw, sweet catch.
Throw it to the back pylon. You see some man-to-man coverage. Been a constant theme for Oakland. And BJ's made that throw a ton in his career. As a receiver, you're taught that that ball is going to come and drop in the back by that back pylon. He's fighting, he's clawing with Chuck with the corner. And unlike Chris Matthews on that previous play, a little fade, throw behind, stop, and look at Doug Baldwin, Jermaine Purse and crew come running. Kason has earned the respect of his peers on this team.
13 yards on the touchdown reception. B.J. Daniels to Kason Williams. Here's Stephen Hauschka for the extra point. And the leads back to 10. You don't think his teammates know how hard this rookie has worked to get on the field? Look at how they celebrate with him. Go back up by 10, 24-14 late in the third quarter. B.J. Daniels, 2 of 5. Also ran the ball 3 times, but that was a pretty pass to Kason Williams for the score.
In 14 plays, 80 yards. You love to see that time of possession. You saw the mix of that zone read, some play-action pass. And back-to-back plays. Chris Matthews had the same one-on-one. Could not get over the top. But Check was there, tried the back shoulder, and Kason comes right back to it. Uses that frame, uses the body, gives B.J. Daniels enough room to drop it in the back of the end zone, and most importantly, finishes it off to the praise and acclaim of his buddies who come celebrating.
George Atkinson III, grandson of the Raiders legend, forced out of bounds after a 28-yard return. Fans hooping it up here at CenturyLink.
I think there'll be people looking for that number 16 jersey. What do you think?
Yeah.
55, 16?
55, yeah, maybe the battle. Big guys will go for the 55, and the little ones will go for the 16. The two rookies, Tyler Lockett, number 16, and Frank Clark, 55, shown well for themselves all preseason long. As Bryce Butler makes the catch for the Raiders, pushed out of bounds by Ronald Martin.
And you're starting to see a lot of the depth here now. Obum Gwacham, one of the late round picks. Ryan Murphy getting some run here. Some of the backups to the backups that are really clawing in the final 18 minutes of preseason football. To emphasize they belong. Ron Martin, we talked about earlier, Buck Martin, they call him in the building. Been a really heads-up player, limiting the big play in front of him. Been ball hawking. A chance to make one final impression on this staff.
George Atkinson hitting the backfield. Another guy who has played well all preseason long, T.Y. McGill, the undrafted player out of NC State.
Listed at 6 foot, 299. I don't know if he quite gets to 6 foot. One of the reasons he was undrafted, but like so many have done tonight, and that's Feliciano again, just getting on that edge, just much quicker, much more explosive, and showing that he's got a little style as well on that D-line.
Seems as though he's shown up week after week. McGloin from the shotgun. Quick pass. Caught. Seth Roberts. The first down. Marcus Burley right there with him.
It's an important run here for Marcus, fighting for that nickelback spot. We saw Will Blackman early, and Burley, like a bunch of these guys, calf strain earlier in camp, quickly trying to catch up to the rest. Seam route for the touchdown earlier. That time, a little slant route from the slot. That's that nickelback spot. Such a vital position in this defense.
You think it comes down to Burley, Ty Smith, and Will Blackman right now. McGloin up top. Almost picked off. Overthrows his receiver, Rod Streeter. And Mohamed Cisse can't pull it in.
And there's a good job of Muhammad being patient and getting on top of that route. A little concept, and he's seen that plenty in practice. The Seahawks love to get in that same formation. Just love to find a way to try to wrap that one. Everything is about the ball in this defense, and he plays it perfectly. Just unable to corral it.
Find out why some guys are defensive backs instead of wide receivers.
Hey, you said that.
McGloin trying to get his troops lined up right. Atkinson being chased. Nowhere to go. Flag on the play as well. Mohamed Cisse in there on the tackle. T.Y. McGill breaking through. Alex Singleton.
Holding. Offense. Number 79. 10-yard penalty. Replay. Second down.
And this is the first player we've seen have trouble getting up tonight. Mohamed Cisse. Picked up right at the start of camp for a 6th-round pick. Going to trade with the Detroit Lions.
An outside run, and all that force is coming his way. The Seahawks win at the point of attack. McGill wins as he's chasing it. Marsh sets the edge there on containment, and everything coming there Muhammad's way. It's good to see him. As a guy that's already missed time this preseason, he knows how valuable it is to do the best he can to stick on the field.
Makes his way off the field. 3rd and 12. Here comes the blitz. McGloin up top. Incomplete. Good job there on the coverage by Marcus Purley as the pass was intended for Bryce Butler.
I circled Marsh there pre-snap, trying to get him out on that edge. And a nice little line game. That 4-man rush has been so effective this evening. Plenty of hits on McGloin. The sacks earlier, in that time, Burley finding the football. You see the difference right there between those touchdowns that he gave up to Streeter in that nickel position, trying to get a feel for where the ball was. And that time, a much better job out on the boundary, knocking it away.
Marquette King on the punt. Kevin Smith back deep. From the 10. Fights his way out for a couple of yards. 1:21 to go in the 3rd quarter of this 4th preseason game. Seahawks up by 10. Well, B.J. Daniels going to get another shot at it, deep in his own territory this time, as the Seahawks begin from the 15-yard line, up 24-14. He's a familiar face to Seahawk fans. Ken Norton Jr., now the defensive coordinator down there in Oakland after being the linebackers coach here with the Seahawks, coming in with Pete Carroll.
They say a team takes on the personality of the head coach, and Jack Del Rio got lots of former players on his staff. Ken Norton's just one of them.
A little option here. B.J. Daniels picks up maybe 9 yards, and you talk about Norton's on the staff. Marcus Robertson, a former Seahawk, is coaching in the secondary. Mike Tice, as good an offensive line coach as there is, former tight end for Seattle, is on that staff as well.
And what you were hearing from the guys pregame was the infectious energy on that practice field, and we saw it for years here in Seattle. He had the loudest bark, and he got that linebacker crew going. And for him, what an opportunity to call the signals defensively. He sat under and learned so much from Pete Carroll through the years, and now Jack Del Rio giving him the opportunity as a first-time defensive play caller.
They really like it. Here's Thomas Rawls. A couple of stutter steps. Fights his way back to the line of scrimmage. It's amazing. You talk to players, and they say that it does make a difference whether or not their coaches played football like Norton, like so many of the guys we're talking about.
You hear that in baseball as much as anything, right? Very few managers in baseball ever get to that position without doing it, and there's just a certain level of respect that the guy like Ken Norton, when he steps on the field, that he just commands it immediately with his resume and then that work ethic to back it up.
He rolls again, spinning and going nowhere. Stops the line of scrimmage on 3rd down. You see those former coaches with the Seahawks. There's flags going flying everywhere. Rawls was trying to fight for the yardage to get.
And I think he
that
got
first
it,
down.
Yeah, I think that was all want to. Again, not impressive on a stat sheet as a 1-yard run. He stopped. That may be one of his more impressive plays, to be honest with you, because that was all his drive, his leg drive, and his want to. And the extracurricular drew the penalty.
After the play and after the first down, unsportsmanlike conduct. Offense number 83, yanking a player off the pile. That penalty is half the distance to the goal. It will be first down.
So he did keep fighting enough to get the first down. Ricardo Lockett called for pulling a player off the pile, and that's one of those points of emphasis this preseason. We'll go to the final quarter of the preseason. Seahawks in control. Final quarter of the preseason. Seahawks up 24-14 on the Oakland Raiders. After picking up the first down here, the drive keeps going.
You've seen a lot of 24 on 3rd and 1 make runs just like this, and the quick spin move makes the first man miss. And look at the pad level right there against the defensive back. You hear that all the oh, look at the low man wins, and you hear it taught in Little League football. There is a perfect illustration. If his pads are not down, he's not converting the 3rd and 1.
First down from the 12. Daniels dumps it off to Raw. Slips a tackle, fights his way out to the 19. It seems like time and time again, he has the way to make that first guy miss or at least not get a clean hit.
6 more yards after contact. And, well, Bruce Irvin said this week that Michael Bennett was maybe the greatest teammate you could ever have. And Michael Bennett, kind enough to join us on the sidelines. What do you think of that praise from one of your buddies in your D-line room?
I think I'm the second best teammate after Barack Obama. So,
is he on the team?
He's on my team.
Okay,
I voted for him. But I love that. You know, Bruce is such a great teammate. I got a lot of great teammates over here, so that's a great honor to have such a guy say something like that about me. Here's Cliff Averill.
Well, Cliff has already got his camera time tonight. He's back for another interview.
He wants more camera time.
Hey, Michael, you want to talk about quarterbacks that you love so much again, or what do you want to do tonight?
Man, you know what? I'm talking about, B.J. Daniels is a guy that's out there playing quarterback. He's playing receiver, returner. I think he has that slash type of thing like Cordell Stewart back in the day. Wherever you put him at, he's making plays. And it's kind of cool to see a guy go out there and, time after time get counted out. But every time he gets his chance or his opportunity, he makes the most of it.
Is there something we could ask you about that you wouldn't have an answer to?
No, I know everything.
I don't know if you know everything, but you have fun with everything. That's
my nickname is Michael Obama.
That's 2 plugs for Obama you've gotten in one interview.
I know. He's my cousin.
You got any plugs for number 55?
Man, you know what? Frank Clark he's a real special talent. He's the type of guy that you get. He hustles very well. He's relentless, and he does a lot of great things. Man, he reminds us of me a little bit. The things that he does out there, his speed, his ability to get around the edge and do things in the backfield. I think he's going to be a great changeup for us to have this year. Just another guy that's explosive that can do a lot of good things.
Talk about explosive. I know you're on the defensive side, but it's got to give you chills to watch a kid like Tyler Lockett, what he does on special teams and at receiver tonight.
I know he's just a great talent too. I think our scouting department does a great job of picking talent. I mean, he's done so many great things for us. Already explosive on the special teams. Makes so many plays on special teams. Then he goes out there on the first play and does something great and catches the big ball. I think he's going to be he's like another Percy Harvin for us. The ability to make a play from wherever he touches the ball. And I think he's going to bring a lot to this team and it's going to change our special teams and change a lot of things that we do.
Michael, people have compared Frank Clark from a physical standpoint to you with some of the versatility. You told me a week ago that there's 4 guys in the league that can do what you do with the versatility. So what's the teaching point? What's the emphasis to make sure that Frank Clark is a rookie, understands the role that he's got to develop into?
Man, you know what? It's about technique at this age, in these games. In these games, the talent, people miss blocks and stuff like that. And one thing you have to do is to make sure you work on your technique and keep your technique at the top of your game. Because in this game, when you're playing against on Sundays, there's great guys and they don't really miss their blocks. And the best way to make plays is to make sure you play your technique. And that's one of the things I try to tell Frank, man. Work on your technique every day, in and out, and make sure that what you're doing out there, make sure you make big plays. What's he talking about? You ain't talking about that. They're mad at me. They're mad at me. I don't know why. I'll be mad at me too. I don't know why. They're mad at Obama's my cousin. But that's why I told him, man, make sure you just stick to your technique and make sure you do everything right like that, especially when you're undersized in this league, but you're explosive. To be able to use your technique and your explosiveness at the same time makes you a very special player.
Michael, we'll let you get back to your teammates here in just a second, but we showed the whole defensive line room, and there's a lot of really good players. In the next 48 hours, decisions have to be made for this organization and some tough ones. What's your counsel to some of these guys that may not just because of the numbers end up here? What advice do you give to the young players?
Like I told the guys before the game, man, I understand your situation. I'm not a guy that came in the first round nor the second round. I'm a guy that's been at the bottom, so I understand what they're going through and things that they're doing. But the thing I told them, the best thing they could do is go out there and put a great tape out there. Make sure the 31 other teams realize that the Seahawks made a mistake, and you can go out there and capitalize on it. And, I'm living proof that can happen. I got cut from here, and I came back, and it feels special to be back here. And that's what I told these guys. I said, look, man, just go out there and make all the plays you can, play with your great technique, and good things will happen for you.
Thank you for going blah, 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 blah with us. We appreciate it.
I know these guys, man. They're just mad. I don't know why.
They're just jealous. Thanks a lot, man.
Signing off, Michael Obama.
All right.
2020. If Kanye's going, I'm going too. I'm the people's champ.
See you, buddy.
He just keeps going, man. There's nothing to slow him down. He's one of a kind. I would say that, but his brother Martellus is just like him with the Bears. B.J. Daniels doesn't like what's going on right there as he's brought down for the sack. But I think you get to see a little bit of what this team is like. You're playing well, obviously you can have a lot more fun, but guys just getting on each other all the time because they respect one another.
You would be a good one to answer this. You get a chance to travel around to other camps. Is it because this team has so many more personalities than other teams, or is it because they are just in a culture and an environment where they can really show who they are?
I think it's the latter, because I think when you visit a lot of other teams, there's 53 guys on every team, 90 at the start of training camp. But a lot of places you're not allowed to show your personality. Pete Carroll has set up a system and a culture that allows guys to be themselves here. As long as you play football, we don't care if you laugh, you talk, you're quiet, whatever, be yourself. And that has been successful so far. Seats to CenturyLink this year, about 1,000 extra seats, and that means there are a limited number of single game tickets still available. And if you want one, or 2, or 5, or 10, secure your seats now by visiting Seahawks.com/tickets.
A lot of great venues in the NFL. I don't know on a Sunday afternoon or a Monday night or a Sunday night if there's any as festive as that ticket.
When your team's winning, everybody has fun. Matt McGloin on the bootleg. Being chased by Cassius Marsh. Bryce Butler with the catch, and that's a nice job by McGloin of keeping his eyes downfield and completing the pass.
Yeah, there's been no other substitution here. First, third, second, fourth is exactly what the Raiders' game plan was coming in, but McGloin has just been so efficient and so good and just nifty. Just doing enough there to affect Cassius Marsh to get outside of his containment. There's no threat to run, and then throwing a catchable ball.
25 yards on the completion. First down from the 45. The handoff, Roy Halou. Haven't seen him since early in the ball game. Ty Smith cutting through and trips him up. 3-yard gain.
It's a good tackle in the open field there. One of the rare occasions that you've seen any green grass for any of these Oakland runners. And back into that group. Lambert's going to tackle you. Nice job there by Ty Smith. Got to have a willingness in this system. There's going to be times where you are that backside contain. There's going to be times where you are going to be the force player. Richard Sherman, one of the best, if not the best corner in the game, is willing to tackle. The young guys see that and they follow along.
The end around, Seth Roberts. Didn't fool the Seahawks at all. David King giving chase. Tyrell Adams swings him out of bounds.
Tyrell got through the first wave of cuts. A couple of his young linebackers did not, and he's got speed. That's going to be his game, and we have seen Roberts make a bunch of plays out on the perimeter, but could not outrun the rookie from West Georgia.
Undrafted. Adams in the fight for one of those linebacker spots.
And Will Blackman in the nickel, right in the slot here in one-on-one coverage.
Play clock hit 0. You can see McGloin saying that they didn't reset the play clock in time. And the officials agreeing. So no flag. They'll pick it up, reset the play clock, and snap it again.
And this is a good rep. This is 3rd and 7. This is a must-have for Oakland with just 9 minutes to go. That's why you see Will Blackman, the 9-year veteran, back on the field. You've seen Marcus Burley play in the slot. Jack Del Rio's kept his hot hand. Some of his receivers that will make this team. And keep an eye right here in that slot's Will Blackman. And these are the situations that you would love to see a good cover.
Going against Bryce Butler. McGloin goes the other way. That ball may have been tipped in the line of scrimmage. Nonetheless, it falls incomplete.
That was a good job by Will in the slot, getting his hands on the receiver. Nowhere to go. McGloin's thrown that comeback outside. And that time, just no space to squeeze it in.
Kevin Smith back deep. Getting a chance to show tonight what he can try and do as a return guy as well as a receiver. In a battle for backup wide receiver, and you figure the team usually keeps 6 or 7 guys at that wideout spot. Smith on the run, cuts it back. If he can get around the end, he's got room. Forced out of bounds by the punter, Marquette King, but a good return all the way out to the 40-yard line by Smith. 28 yards on the punt return.
There's just some guys at the appropriate time make the decisions for the staff. Kevin Smith making his impression.
Well, the officials working on mechanics tonight as well in this final preseason game. Craig Rolstad, the referee for the game, going to sit out the series on the sideline and let the officials practice as if they had a man down and what they would do with only 6 officials on the field.
Fair to say, Kurt, situational football?
Yeah.
You know, teams,
for them too.
Teams work on all these different situations. You get in a 4-minute drive or 2-minute drill or situational red zone. You get a man down, you never know what's going to hit. Those referees and that refereeing crew has got to be able to adapt and improvise as well.
So 6 officials on the field as the Seahawks start at the 40. BJ Daniels. Pressure. Gets rid of the football, incomplete. Probably a wise decision there.
Play to a player's strength. Call the game to just play to their talents, and you see some empty, you see some zone read, you see a different game being called here for BJ Daniels, and you're going to see with RJ Archer. You're not just so stuck that, boy, this is my scheme and we only do one thing. No, you have the ability for Gerald Bevel and you're that offensive staff, especially in these situations like this. 8 minutes left in preseason football. Start to get your players and put them in the best position for their own individual success.
Boy, they fooled the defense of the Raiders. Daniels faked the handoff to Rawls, and everybody went with him. But Daniels just couldn't get around the edge there.
But you know what else you've seen 3, 4, 5 different times now tonight is his ability to ride that fake at the mesh point. You're right. But this move right here, instead of turning up and running into all that contact, much like Russell Wilson does, he gets out of the way. What RG3 has shown an inability to do, unfortunately, in Washington and some of the other running quarterbacks is avoid that extra hit.
Flag before the snap.
Full start offense. 3rd down.
Well, we know it's a false start against the Seahawks. So I guess for the mechanics of this, Craig Rolstad, who's the ref who is out and standing on the sidelines, he's the only one with a microphone. So he's reading the signal and announcing it to the crowd. That's why he didn't have a number.
Keep an eye here on Kason Williams.
Daniels flushed out of the pocket. Here he goes, big hole into Raider territory. Out across the 40-yard line, a big run on the scramble by Daniels.
That's what Russell Wilson was alluding to out on the playground. Just get him in space. He could have thrown it to Thomas Rawls there right in front of him, and once again ducking under that contact.
Runs it for 20.
A mandate from Pete Carroll. It's been a mandate from day one to Russell Wilson. If you're going to run it and you're going to be available and try to be as durable as possible, with as active as you are in the run game, you have got to avoid contact. He's doing a really nice job of that here in the second half.
Here's Thomas Rawls with a big hole. Out inside the 25, and it hasn't really mattered a whole lot whether it was the first unit, the second unit, or now the third unit. Good running lanes for the Seahawks tonight on offense.
And I think a couple of things. I think number one, you can see some of the confidence with the offensive line, that they're getting a hat on a hat. And then number two, it's the subtleties. It's making those moves. Tyler Lockett does it in spades in the special teams game, never losing space while he's making his cuts. And Rawls has really maybe displayed that more tonight than he has all preseason long.
15 yards on the carry there. He's got 81 in the game on 10. Daniels with time towards the end zone. Underthrew it just a little bit. And he's lucky it wasn't picked off. Dexter McDonald right there in front of Ricardo Lockett.
And you are right. We talked about that back pylon on the touchdown to Casey Williams. That's a very similar throw. That is a deep over coming across the field to Ricardo Lockett, and you just want to try as best you can to put that ball in a position where Ricardo can go up and get it right near that back pylon. That one just short from BJ.
6:33 left to go in this game. Maybe time to keep it on the ground a little bit. Seahawks have run for more than 200 yards tonight. They call a timeout as the play clock was winding down. .633 left to go in the preseason. Seahawks football is presented by Washington's Lottery and the Department of Imagination. Imagine the possibilities. Russell Wilson, short night for him. 2 plays, 1 pass, but it was good enough for a 63-yard touchdown to Tyler Lockett. BJ Daniels on to finish things off.
Well, and he sure enjoyed, Russell has, watching BJ get his chance, and he's put in so much work at that receiver position, such a commitment to it this entire offseason from both individual and from that staff, and tonight just freewheeling, just playing, just go out there and run, use your strengths. And you can see maybe the efficiency isn't perfect. The touchdown pass was a thing of beauty, but he's moved the ball, and that zone read has let this offense get back to the base DNA of what they do, slowing down that opponent with that dangerous zone read game.
Another play fake. Daniels keeps it. Again, you can see why Russell Wilson says he's the first guy you take.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting, Kurt, is in our market the last couple of weeks, talk about the Seahawks offense and the rhythm and the run game and everything else, and just a beautiful fake. You can't do it much better than that. Putting that ball in the belly sells it to the eyes of those defenders. But it's really hard to judge this Seahawks team, number one, without much Marshawn, number two, without this whole phase of your playbook, which you work, which you train, which is ingrained in these offensive linemen. So effective of slowing down that opponent when you can run that zone read option.
Another fake this time. Daniels looking to throw. Ball caught but out of bounds, incomplete. Casey Williams with a grab. You can see he says, I missed it by that much. The ability to keep a play alive. And this is why you think if he's in a battle for that last wide receiver spot, he's shown what he can do there. He's shown what he can do on the special teams as a return guy and the guy who can hit. But he's also can be your emergency quarterback if you get in that situation in a ball game. Kevin Smith takes it down to about the 5-yard line.
You know, it wasn't that long ago where every team kept 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the norm 10 years ago. It's just changed over the years with some of the durability of Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. You started to see Many clubs go to 2. If there was 3, there would be simply no debate about it. He would be an incredibly valuable slash-type piece to go to hurry up.
Thomas Rawls, touchdown, Seahawks. Second touchdown of the preseason for Rawls. 6 yards on the run.
Think Thomas Rawls has had any fun? This offensive line has had any fun doing what they do best? Over 200 yards rushing tonight. And you have seen them with all that run game just wear down this Oakland crew. Wonderful job by Sokoli getting to the second level. That's some of the athleticism that Tom Cable has really marveled at with the very raw Sokoli. But these backups getting a chance to really lean on an Oakland team that they've worn down defensively. And when you've outrushed your opponent 224 to 10, you have a chance to run away from them at the end, which is really what this team has done for 3 years, Kurt.
What were those rushing numbers again?
That would be 224 to 10.
And that's why it's 31 to 14. Thomas Rawls finishing off the last drive. 31-14. Seahawks trying to get to 2-2 on the preseason, and the Seahawks invite your family to join the Generation 12 Kids Club, presented by Delta Dental of Washington. Registration includes a year-long membership, exclusive invites to special events, a great kids club kit, and so much more. Visit Seahawks.com/Kids Club to register. Well, it's been the young kids tonight for the Seahawks. Thomas Rawls, the undrafted rookie out of Central Michigan, scored there. We saw Tyler Lockett, the third-round pick, score on the second play from scrimmage for Seattle. And the second-round pick out of Michigan, Frank Clark, was dominant on defense tonight. George Atkinson wrapped up right at the 25-yard line. Rawls, his second touchdown of the preseason, and a 19-yard reception in the opener against Denver, and then that 6-yard run there.
11 carries, 87 yards, and a touchdown tonight. I can remember Mike Holmgren so vividly. Almost every single year at training camp, walk into that opening meeting and say, listen, you're going to make the decision for us. Doug Baldwin has, Jermaine Kearse has, Brock Coyle has. Guys that were undrafted rookie free agents. You want to make this team, you make the decision for us. Your play is going to do it. And Thomas Rawls, with the injury to Robert Turbin, obviously Fred Jackson was in over the week, and this organization will turn over every stone and look at every opportunity, but Rawls has made the most convincing case I think possible tonight. I love the short yardage runs. I love the speed that he has shown, never slowing down, and his acceleration, running through people the yards after contact. Pretty impressive resume tape tonight for Rawls.
Christian Ponder back in the game for the Raiders. Last 5 minutes or so, and here's a guy who may be fighting to keep his roster spot with the Raiders.
Well, will they be a program that keeps 2 or 3? Once again, it wasn't a question just years ago that you were going to keep 3, you were going to develop a young guy. But if they keep just 2, Matt McGloin has outplayed him this preseason.
Ponder throws behind Seth Roberts, but Roberts made the catch right in front of Douglas McNeil. Good reception by Roberts, and there's a young man who's shown tonight. 27 yards on that reception.
Yeah, he's going to make that Oakland team, and that's a throw right there that if Ponder puts in front of him, Roberts may have had an opportunity to continue to run all the way into the end zone here. And you can see the ball's behind him and makes him stop. Eventually, Rod Martin was in and maybe brought him down, but that's not a real good throw from Christian Ponder.
Jameis Olawale keeps on fighting down to the 44-yard line. Gain of 7. Well, the regular season starts for the Seahawks at least 10 days from now. Of course, the Thursday night kickoff. The New England Patriots with Tom Brady hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Seahawks will open up the season on Sunday, September 13th at the St. Louis Rams. Always a tough divisional matchup, particularly there. Ponder over the middle, intended for Streeter off his hands. Ryan Murphy was there in front of him. And here's a look. The first 2 games of the regular season on the road, tough places to play, St. Louis and Green Bay.
And that used to be, that 10 a.m. kick used to be such an issue before Pete Carroll's built what he's built over the last 3 years. It's not even a consideration anymore. This team gets ramped up and ready to go. But what St. Louis could do at the line of scrimmage, especially defensively, a very different picture than what Oakland was throwing at Seattle tonight. That is a group that's battle-tested in their front 7 that matches up pretty well with the physicality of Seattle. And Pete knows they're going to have to be on point 10 days from now.
Flag down on the play as Ponder scrambled. You see the referee Craig Rolstad back in the game now. They're done experimenting.
There are 2 fouls on the play, both on the offense. Ineligible man downfield. That penalty is declined. Holding. Offense, number 65. That penalty is accepted. 3rd down.
So they take the hole on Dan Kistler out of Montana. Here's a look at the second half of the Seahawks schedule. And that's where things, I mean, not that it's ever easy, but really tough.
Yeah, but you love having 5 of 8 at home, so you weather the storm early. You go on the road the first couple weeks. A very difficult physical matchup, a Green Bay team that you can only imagine the fans with what Green Bay has endured in this building and the pivotal losses that have been handed to them by the Seahawks. They will be ramped up and ready to go in week 2.
Once again, Seth Roberts making moves and breaking free. Ronald Martin finally chases him down at the 15-yard line. But another big play from Seth Roberts for this Raiders offense, this time 39 yards.
Well, the second-year player spent last year on the practice squad, a small school player from Western Alabama. He has been a monster tonight. He has forced a decision. It was a real debate coming into this game in Oakland as well, as far as where he would be and would he be able to find a way on the roster. I can't imagine with the ease he's playing, the starters with the backups, and now with some of the third stringers out there playing a whale of a ball game.
First down from the 15, Ponder. On the run. Leonhardt. And Brian Leonhardt scoots and slides down to the 10.
There's no easy schedule in the NFL.
No,
you could put up any, and whatever you think in the preseason, there is always going to be change. You see it every year with new teams making the playoffs. I enjoy that exercise, but I quite honestly don't spend an immense amount of time on it. And outside of knowing that it's all about November, December, getting into January, Pete hopefully hosting playoff games in this building where they have been incredibly dominant. That's the part of the schedule most important to the head coach.
Ponder. And the play was stopped. Whistles blew.
Please reset the clock to 2 minutes. This is the 2-minute warning.
So they say the 2-minute warning should have gone off before the ball was snapped. They stopped play and called the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes left to go in the 2015 preseason. Seahawks trying to wrap this one up.
Brought to you by CenturyLink. CenturyLink is rolling out 1 gig internet. Visit CenturyLink.com to see if it's available in your area. Home team, home connection. Washington's lottery in the Department of Imagination. Imagine the possibilities. Just 2 minutes left in the Seahawks preseason. Seattle with a 31-14 lead over the Oakland Raiders here at CenturyLink Field. Aaron Levine alongside Dave Wyman. You always like to see the guys making that lasting impression in the preseason finale, and that's exactly what Thomas Rawls has done in the second half.
Yeah, he's ran really well, and you see that he's a tough runner. It kind of reminds you a little bit of Marshawn Lynch. It's just, is that enough to displace Kristen Michael? I am so curious to see how they handle that, because or maybe they'll keep both of them, and there you see him right there on the sidelines talking a little bit.
So much to discuss in the post-game show, but for now, let's send it back up to CURT and Brock, guys.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. From the 10-yard line, Ponder looking towards the end zone. Flags go flying. Mohamed Cisse there on the coverage, and I think he may have gotten to Seth Roberts early.
Pass interference. Defense, number 19. The ball will be placed at the spot of foul. Automatic. First down.
Well, they actually called it on Douglas McNeil. And Ceesay was the guy there running with Roberts.
Well, these young DBs are not shy on contact. We've seen Harold Simon with a penalty earlier. Ceesay, if you get beat, much better to make them earn it from the 2-yard line than to give up that play behind you.
And some of the Raider players forgot to huddle up. First and goal from the 2. A chance for the Seahawks to see what some of these young guys can do in a goal line situation.
Keep an eye on big Jesse Williams right over the ball.
Dyer tries to run that way, going to be stopped short of the goal line. Second down.
You see a veteran coaching staff with a Jack Del Rio that's a former player, has been around the block, and just understanding that this is about wrapping up the preseason. 90 seconds to go. You'd love to see, if you're Jack, Michael Dyer and their young people punch it in.
Seattle going to call a timeout.
30-second timeout, Seattle. That's their second charge timeout.
And Pete Carroll on the other side saying, I'm going to get my right personnel on the field. I don't care. I preach to you guys, finish. And I get in front of this team as Pete does on a daily basis. And just one of his critical elements of this program is finishing in that fourth quarter of the season, finishing in the fourth quarter of these ball games, and getting right in that mix with 80 seconds left in preseason to reinforce that point, I'm sure.
You talk about young guys trying to use this fourth preseason game, or even some established veterans, to show the coaching staff, I belong here. Anyone jump out at you? Because it's really hard on a team that's as good and established as the Seahawks have been the last couple of years.
Yeah, I think that's some of the areas of special teams. That's where you have got to distinguish and differentiate yourself. That's so critical phase of the game, and that's where Kevin Smith has been really good. Casey Williams has shown it want to. B.J. Daniels gives you some versatility. All those guys fighting for a spot continue to likewise understand the importance of that phase.
Defense will try to make a stop here on second and goal. Inside the 1. Dyer hit the backfield, falls forward, and going to be stopped again. Keenan Lambert with the tackle. Alex Singleton there as well.
And some emphasis there from the coaching staff. And look at them tossing Julius Wormsley once again. Tossing those guys at the point of attack. And Pete loves it. Don't get many of these reps in practice. Full live drill for these young people on tape. Finish strong.
Still inside the 1. Dyer runs into the pile and pushes his way in. And we've got a Seahawk down. That's Mohamed Ceesay, and we saw him leave earlier with a shoulder injury, come back in the game, and seems to be favoring that same left arm. Starting off at the bottom of the screen, number 39. Kind of runs into the back of number 80 Rod Streeter there, but again he looks like the same shoulder he injured earlier, so maybe not 100%, and sometimes all it takes is just a little nick like that and you're right back in pain. Ceesay's been in a battle for the backup corner spot.
Traded for right at the beginning of training camp from Detroit, and had a calf injury earlier in camp. Has missed some of that valuable practice time. Has worked like mad to put himself in a position. He's gotten a lot of run tonight, and I think you're exactly right. That earlier run play where he was that forced defender in containment, and he didn't want to come off the field. He knows what's at stake tonight. He knows that he has got to show himself as a guy that missed some time in camp. He's got to show what he can do.
Well, you want to show what you can do. You also want to show the coaches you can stay healthy. Especially a coaching staff that doesn't have a lot of history with you since you came over right at the end of July. Giorgio Tavecchio puts it through. And there's pushing and shoving afterwards. Not exactly the way you want to finish out the preseason.
Well, the big pass play, really the difference on that drive, giving up an explosive play, is just about the only one for Oakland tonight. They had to earn every other first down throughout this evening. Really got no run game going to speak of, just 19 yards on the night. But the one explosive play, Dyer finishing the touchdown.
Well, the Seahawks were #1 in the league, giving up the fewest explosive plays. They didn't get as many explosive plays as they wanted, but it seems as though with the addition of maybe even just one guy, Tyler Lockett, what he's been able to do on special teams, not just the touchdown, but the field position that it allows you to have, and then as a wide receiver.
It'll be really fun, Kurt, to see him evolve as that wideout. It's a natural. He has such a gift and a feel for the punt return and kick return. That's instincts, and that's built on so many years of doing it at such a high level. But he was also the record setter at Kansas State, over 1,500 receiving yards, and defenses knew where he was. I mean, he was the focal point to try to stop and contain, and they could not do it in the Big 12 a season ago. I'm going to be very curious to watch his development, and I think they will spoon feed it. They're not going to throw him in day #1 and ask him to do everything in the special teams phase as well as the wide receiver spot. Watching them and that staff grow his role will be one of the fun parts this season.
Onside kick. Good job by Tavecchio. The Raiders recover. They're down by 10 with less than a minute to go, but they ran the play just like they wanted. Where's Brian Bostic when you're looking for it?
And you get that extra bounce. It is this one right here. And you can see McNeil is expecting it to come up to him, and instead you get that backspin going the other way. And Oakland executes what Seattle executed in a much more important play last January.
So Christian Ponder will come on to finish things off. I mean, barring the miracle of miracles, maybe see a holy roller here or something with the Raiders in town. The Seahawks will get the win. They'll finish the preseason 2-2, losing the first two, and then finishing up with wins over San Diego and Oakland to wrap up the preseason. Same record they had in preseason last year as they try to win the NFC Championship and get to the Super Bowl for the 3rd straight campaign. And with the depth they've got on defense, particularly with some of their young guys, they've got to feel very good about where this team is. Speaking of young guys on defense, Julius Wormsley was the first guy to get there. Obum Watcham, 5th-round pick, got the sack.
Yeah,
Jesse Williams also there.
And really, Kurt, in a nice little line game, and you've seen some of this from Seattle as well tonight in the pass game. That's a tackle in stunt, well-timed, well-executed. And it's been a preseason without Earl Thomas. Been a preseason without Cam Chancellor. A preseason largely without Richard Sherman. Very limited reps playing corner. And to still see the growth and development of all the other pieces, a real encouraging sign.
Ponder throws on the run, incomplete. Douglas McNeil on the coverage.
It's going to be a physical game in 10 days. It is. You're walking into a St. Louis building with a Nick Foles now led team, a team that is still going to really try to run it at Seattle and control that game. Special teams has been a phase of that game in the matchups with Jeff Fisher. They've been a tough one for the Seahawks. And now you've got a little different artillery on your end of it with Tyler Lockett. And it'll be real nice to see. And Earl Thomas expected back. Obviously, Richard Sherman's had a really good camp. You're going to see the full arsenal 10 days from now.
Most likely the final play of the preseason. George Atkinson wrapped up by Alex Singleton, and that will do it. Pete Carroll's Seahawks wrap up the preseason with a 31-21 win over the Oakland Raiders.